it's nice seeing Robin and Raven kill people and do real life.
Hello, and welcome to this week's thrilling. Do you know, I've been looking forward to this session all week. I'm just so excited about this combat that's about to happen. We
Not
left
as excited as I
we left the party in a bit of a predicament, mainly because we ran out of time and we sort of like brought it to a close. And as you can see by the action down below, there's some interesting things happening. But before I tell you what the party have been up to and where they are in the campaign today, I'm going to allow the players to introduce who they are and who they will be playing tonight. And anybody can go first, as long as somebody goes first.
Hi guys, I'm Longchang CPG and I'll kick it off tonight with the sheer relief of Trigger who's just sneezing into my handkerchief right now.
It was a fake sneeze. It was a fake one.
His head disappeared off the screen. I'm playing Hengist tonight. He is the group's warrior, tank, and all-round nice guy. And with that, I'll pass it on to Mr. Pickles as he's completely distracted.
Oh, I didn't have time to put... Mr. Bartle, here you go.
I'm Mr. Pickles, who is not distracted by a cat right now. I play Bartleby Fumus, which is our team's theist. I serve the White Moon goddess, Amriel. You might catch me mentioning her throughout every episode. She lets Bartleby perform miracles such as curing people of poison or disease, restoring limbs, making sure people don't have warts or minor cold sores, things like that. Bartleby's also our group's goblin expert, knowledge of monsters and history to help us fight the evils in this universe. And with that, I'm going to throw the microphone on over to Medivac.
You thought I was distracted, but I wasn't. Hi everybody, I'm Medivac and I play Hazra Khan. He's the group's scout, wilderness expert, forager, jack of all trades when it comes to the wilderness, really. He does like to take control when he's out and about. He is enjoying learning about his group, about their beliefs and what they do, and really who they are. He's more concerned as well at the moment about saving Mr. Bartleby, who has a curse on him. And yeah, with that, I shall leave that and pass it on to Sugar Wugger.
Hi guys, I'm Chugwugger. I play Gulliver, the apprentice sorcerer. He is a member of the Order of the Kraken, which is one of the 4 sorcery orders on Odes. The Order of the Kraken specialised in spells concerning teleportation, transportation, and communication. And I shall pass on to Inworlds.
Excellent. So the party are in a bit of a predicament. They are almost like every single person in the party have almost like separate quests or things to do at the moment. Hengist, the warrior, the tank, has been searching for his sister for some time and then found her regaling herself over the arms of a bandit lord. She looked extremely comfortable with him, which made Hengist seem slightly uncomfortable about the whole situation. Gulliver has been tasked by a member of his order, the Order of the Kraken, to find out who was the person or the people who made an assassination attempt on the Council of Sorcerers when Gulliver was away. Gulliver was over the opposite side of the continent and therefore is beyond suspicion. Sadly, the blue sorcerer who came to see Gulliver in a past adventure got eaten by a rather large snake and is alas no longer around. Mr. Bartleby, he has a bracelet on that has attached itself to him, and they also found a funeral mask some time ago which Mr. Bartleby also has with him. These are 2 of the 3 items that would allow the party to teleport or find the strange creature called Cassini, who has the power to stop the invasion of the seeds. Gulliver holds one of the seeds, I think, and somebody has the second one. I can't remember.
Ben.
Oh, yes, that was it. You did have the second one, but you gave it away. I remember now. Funny how you always remember right at the end. And Hazra is just learning that life is not fun outside of the steps, unless they have a reunion rather quickly, and in which case he will burst back into action. He is wielding rather a black arm, since he tried to take a seed that wasn't actually destined to be in his hands at all. The party have recently been captured by a group of bandits called the Vipers. They escaped from the prison very deftly. They joined up a caravan and entered the town of Aylesford, which they found was severely ravaged by some unnatural beast of some description. They found several clues to several of more mysteries. Gulliver started to uncover why there are no sorcerers in this part of Odes. Bartleby started to uncover some mysteries about I just forgot what I was going to say.
Rabbits.
No, it wasn't about rabbits.
It was the necromancer, wasn't it?
Oh yes, about
And the Chaos God.
necromancers, about the Chaos Mother, and something that the necromancer is trying to do. They rescued a bard, and then Johann, the caravan driver, got quite irate when they said that they were going off to rescue people, which seemed absolutely stupid, since the beast had ransacked the whole town and led various bodies discarded in various ways of decomposition and decapitation. The party came across the camp, and after a whole load of discussion, discussing backwards and forwards what was going to happen and what was not going to happen, Gulliver cast a spell and pulled the nearest barbarian guard to him. And this is where Hazra launched into combat. Another barbarian guard arrived at the far end. Hengist charged into combat at full speed. However, the barbarian next to him that you can see on the picture evaded out the way, but is currently prone to the ground. The savage, or the painted man here, which seems to be some kind of shamanistic warrior, seemed to summon what appeared to be a huge spider. The barbarian here, if you remember at the end of the last adventure, Hengist did a fantastic, wonderful perception roll, which was actually probably one of the lowest that he's ever rolled ever, and actually noticed that this barbarian here was no longer outside. Where he is, you do not know. And the chaos beast here, that seems to be under the command of the savage, the painted man, the shaman, burst its way out of the cage. And that's where we left it. And we actually left it on the barbarian's turn. That was when we actually left it last week. So we're actually on combat round 2, second turn, and the savage just had their go, and we are about to let the barbarians have that go, and then we're going back in straight into combat round turn 3, if anybody has any actions left. Does anybody have any questions before we burst into combat?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Has Mr. Bartleby been? I know we've done the savage, then it's the barbarians. What do the barbarians go on?
They go on 15.
Right, so Bartleby will have a go then.
Yeah, the reason you can't see the barbarians is because one of them is off the map, but people can still see it in the turn order. So this is can I please remind you that your luck points have refreshed, but magic points are not. They're still just as they were last time. So here we go. This is the barbarian's turn. Hengist, you saw the other barbarian heading disappeared. You figure he's probably in the tent. You can't see him anywhere around in your eyesight at all. Your barbarian that was prone will hop up, and that'll be his move, his action. And I think Mr. Hazra and this barbarian are massively in combat. Am I correct?
We are indeed.
However, is this the one that I can only parry at the moment?
That's right. Yes.
Yes. And so he will not act at this point, which takes us on to you, Bartleby.
I believe what Bartleby had been doing was moving towards Hazra to
That is correct.
perform a prayer or a miracle. In this case, the miracle I would like to exhort from my goddess is for I should probably change my name. Is for Hazra to not become tired at any point in this.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
Burn forward. And here's my exhort roll.
Nice one. That seems really good.
Acceptable.
So that's it. You will now no longer become fatigued, and that takes us into combat round 2, turn 3 for anybody who has any actions left. So Gulliver.
Gulliver, who cast a spell, I think it was several weeks ago, teleporting the guard to them at the beginning of the combat, is having to sustain it, because if he releases it, the guard will go back to its original position. So
Did you weave any? You can cast 2 spells at the same time. You didn't weave 2 together or anything.
No.
I don't know why I'm stood like this. I just feel it's a good pose.
No, I can't. I don't really have at the moment. I don't really have spells that I can weave together.
I can't. I don't know whether or not I dreamt it or not, but I didn't know whether or not you had summoned and racked at the same time. No. Okay then. So, Hazra, do you have any points left?
I do. I have 1 left.
Cool.
He says,
Do you wish to make an attack?
Oh, he didn't attack me, did I? Because I attacked him, he couldn't attack me. That's right, yes. Please, yes. I'd like to thrust my spear at his other undamaged leg. Now, it's his left leg, I think, that's undamaged.
Yes, it is his left leg that is damaged. He can actually try to parry this because he can only parry at the moment. Yeah. So by all means, roll away to see whether or not you hit. Oh, nice. Nice. Definitely a hit.
Okay, so choose location, left leg.
And he actually fails his parry on an 83. So that's left leg.
And you want 1d10 plus 2. Because I have blade sharp on.
Oh, yeah.
How long does that last? Is it
It's
combat or rounds?
Blade sharp. It's always to the end of the scenario. So, but I didn't have it on your character. But there you go. You've now got blade sharp activated. Yeah. So do some damage on his left leg.
That's 7 points.
7 points. Well, he does have a bit of armor on here. But that quite nicely goes through it, and that will actually give him a major wound. And so what you actually do, that's on his leg. So you, it's a spear that you have, isn't it? Is that what you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually sort of like stab it through his left leg, and you probably hit it right on the kneecap, and just sort of like push the kneecap to one side and power it through as this barbarian lets out an almighty scream as he falls to the ground. He sort of like, he can no longer fight. He's not dead, but he will he will actually, what was your original combat roll? What was it? 59?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So he got a 34, which is below his endurance. So he's incapacitated. He's not unconscious. He will, however, probably die due to blood loss and shock in roughly about, if you really want to know, it will be in 5 rounds.
As a free action, I will after seeing what I've done, I'll look at Gulliver and say, Gulliver, release your magic powers now, and he will go back.
Okay. Hengist, do you have an action to use?
I
Muted.
think he's dead. Hang on, let me open Zoom.
No, long
Yes.
muted.
Yes, Hengist does, sorry.
Cool.
Sorry, I muted because I was opening the rulebook. Then you didn't hear me clicking that way. So he's going to attack the barbarian to his left.
Cool. Strike away.
Yes.
Ooh.
Good thing I didn't open the rulebook then.
Okay, so hang on, let me just do, because this guy's not injured. So hang on, let me just no, he can't actually evade it because he just used his next action to stand up on the last round. So therefore you will have 2 specials to do with him. What would
2
you?
specials. In that case,
I think if it's a crit, it's 2 specials, is it not?
it's
It
critical.
is indeed.
Yeah.
You can mix and match critical specials and normal specials.
Correct. Yeah.
So Hengist, waiting for this perfect opportunity when this guy's standing up, he's going to use max damage and bypass armor on the chap's head.
Right, so you're going to bypass armor and do max damage on the head. Okay,
Yes.
Brilliant. So that's
So my max damage is 12 points,
yeah.
including my modifier.
I just need to check one thing.
He's checking to see whether or not bypass armor also circumvents a parry.
Oh, God.
A guard, yeah, because he has a shield.
Another protection
I
like
rolled
that.
head.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting head, but I got head.
Heads off, man.
What was the thing?
That I was
Bypass
using.
armor.
Bypass armor.
Thank you. Here we go. On a critical attack, finds a natural or worn out. If the defender is wearing armor above natural protection, the attacker must be protected. This effect can be stacked to bypass both. For the purpose of this effect, physical protection gained from magic is considered to be armor worn. So it doesn't bypass his passive defense of his shield in any case. So yeah, what are you wielding at the moment?
It's a longsword.
Yeah, so you sort of like almost like whirl this longsword straight down to his head, but due to his passive blocking, as it comes down, it just sort of like whacks onto the actual the shield. Now, can you do some damage? Tell me the damage again.
So my max, because I used max damage.
Yeah.
The maximum damage I can use, including my modifier, is 12.
12. Okay, thank you. So you whack that down onto his shield, and it sort of like goes crashing down onto his shield. And what it does, it actually virtually splinters the shield into almost like nothing. It looks like it's hanging on with a bit of a thread at the moment, and that's absolutely it. Anybody else got an action to do?
Nope.
No. Okay then. So Gully and Bartleby, you need to make endurance rolls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Gulliver, you've got, obviously withstanding this, keeping this spell up is very tiring at the moment, but Bartleby, you're absolutely fine. And this goes into round 3, turn 1. So Gulliver, you're up first.
When Gulliver casts a spell, normally what happens is a puddle of water appears where the person's gone from.
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's 100 meters away, so I'm probably not going to be able to see it within the foliage. But does it look? Does Hengist seem to be in the position where the guard was?
The guard was somewhere in that general area, but whether or not the guard was exactly where Hengist is, like you said, it's a little bit too far away to tell. If you want to double check, you could take up your action by making a perception roll. Quite happy for you to do that. If
No,
you wish.
he's going to trust Hazra's keen eye and release the spell as instructed.
Okay.
Which I think I could do as a free action.
It's a free action, yeah.
Okay, and the next action, Gulliver will reach into his tunic and take out the magical disc, the symbol of Fladnag, which he uses to cast some of his spells. So
I'm going to say that suddenly...
Hazra has 4 arms. So not Hazra, Hengist has 4 arms.
Yeah! 4 arms and 4 legs and an extra head coming out of his chest. So what I'm going to say, I think the actual spell description says that you can't teleport people into areas that have already been occupied. So I am assuming that this will actually mean the reverse of it as well. So the barbarian sort of like hits in the next available space, and it's just like hits. Can you see it where it's landed now? Yeah. Yeah, and the spider, this sort of like spider that had been summoned by the savage, it's sort of like the water sort of like opens and it sort of like pukes out this barbarian that's still screaming and yelling about and grabbing his shattered kneecap that Hazra did, and the spider just sort of like sees it, and you just notice that it comes down and almost like pincer movements its fangs on either side, and just sort of like spears the barbarian on both sides of its body and sort of like sinks it in, and you notice that the barbarian sort of like convulses for a while as obviously the poison starts to flow into his body, and his screaming slowly subsides as the spider bites into him. Hazra, you're up.
Hazra is going to now move off towards Hengist.
Okay, so are you sprinting?
I can't lose endurance. I'll be sprinting. Yes.
Yeah. So how far is your sprint?
Sorry, I'm just looking through my sprint is 38.
38. So we'll move you sort of here. So I'll just pop in here that you've moved 38 meters. That purple line is about 100 meters away, just so you know. So Hengist, you see this body appear beside you, and this spider, this huge purple spider, just sort of like grab it, and it's your attack.
Okay,
or your action. Yeah.
So seeing that, and having previously shattered the shield with a almighty desperate swipe, he's going to follow up as quick as he can and attack the same chap again.
Yeah, and that's actually a hit. Let's see if he manages to parry it at all. 56. Let me just say, 58. So he will parry that with his spear as it comes down. And Savage's turn. Okay, you can all see this Savage guy, can't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's absolutely brilliant. He seems to almost like laughing now as you notice that this huge sort of like chaos beast comes into the fray, and it doesn't seem to be attacking or anything. It just seems to be waiting next to the spider. If anything, the chaos beast almost seems afraid of the chaos, the spider. Let me just get his initiative onto the board. 16. So, Hengist, what's your modifier to your initiative?
9.
9. So he's going before you, like that. Okay, excellent. So, and the savage is sort of like they're laughing away. Hengist, can you just make a perception roll for me, please? It's going to be quite formidable, but you might be able to do it. Just whether or not you were going to hear something that's happening, but you do not. And Bartleby, you're next.
I would like to turn to Gulliver. Is he within touching range?
Yeah.
I would like to touch him on his forehead and say, "Sweat be gone by the name of Amriel." And then I would like to cast this prayer, just suddenly turning into a gentle prayer mode.
Yeah.
After that. Bam, and wow.
So that will remove your fatigue.
If I can, at the end of it, I say, "Good job, Gulliver."
Yeah. Oh, bless. Yeah, you can take a free action to do that. That's not a problem. So Gulliver, you can now remove your fatigue that has now gone. Okay, so we're coming up to combat turn 2 in round 3, and Gulliver, you're up first.
So holding out the disc, Gulliver's going to start casting a spell. How many targets can he see at the moment?
So from where you are at the moment, you can see by the light of the fire. So you can probably see this guy. Let me just colour in. So this guy is the one that is dead. Okay, so that's the one that's dead. So from where you are now, you can probably see, you probably are hard pushed to see the barbarian that is next to Hengist because of the tree. But you can see the spider, you can see the chaos beast, and you can see the savage painted man.
3 targets safely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am starting to cast a spell. That is the spell that I'm casting. It's going to take 3 combat turns to cast. So this will be the first
one. Yep. SC1, got it. Okay then, brilliant. Hazra, you're up. Are you continuing to
run? So I'll be on 76.
76 trombones. There you go. So you're getting closer and closer to the combat. Chaos Beast goes next, and all of you see this happening, and you're quite shocked when you see it. It's almost as if the savage, the shaman, sort of like sees you approaching, Hazra, and he started to look a little bit unsure, and what he does is he uses his free action to say something, and it appears that the chaos beast turns round and picks up the shaman, literally picks him up in his arm, not as in actually almost like scoops him up.
He's carrying him, isn't he?
Yeah. And Hengist, you're up.
Hengist is going to continue to fight this barbarian, to try and put him down as quick as he can.
Excellent. Roll away. Oh, nice. However, I can.
You can parry.
I can parry this round. 54 again. Which means is it's below his parry, so he actually parries that shot. But you still have one more, so you actually hit me because mine's just a standard roll, and yours is actually a crit. so you actually get the special off. So you'll only have one special because I actually almost like parried one half of that thing. So you sort of like whack in with your, is it a sword you have?
It is, yes.
Yeah, you sort of like go with your sword. So yeah, so you've only got one crit, one
Just
special
one crit,
to do.
but
Yeah.
I'm doing damage to him. I'm not doing
Yes.
damage to the
Yeah.
shield.
Well,
Okay.
it depends where you hit.
Yeah. Okay. Can't remember. I'll probably just use bypass armor in that case, finding that perfect gap, getting the point of the blade into that perfect position on his left leg.
Yeah, so his left leg is not actually passively blocked, so do me some damage on his left leg. You guys like left legs. What is it with left legs?
I got head last time, so that's fine.
So what's that? 8.
So Monty Python.
Yeah.
I think it's down to the season, because one season we were enjoying right arms, now it's left legs.
Yeah, that's true,
Right.
actually. He needs to make an endurance check. And he fails his endurance on a 60, which means that his leg is a serious wound, and so it collapses underneath him, and he is now prone on the floor. He's not dead, he's just prone on the floor, and he sort of like lands and sort of like starts to frantically try to take up some kind of combat position. He can't attack, so he's just sort of like trying to parry, so he can't do anything on his action at all. Bartleby, you're up.
Bartleby is just going to keep on praying on Gulliver, but with my hands on his shoulders this time instead of on his forehead, praying that Gulliver makes it through this alive. That Amriel will shine down on him with her protections, and hopefully she listens.
Yeah, she certainly does. Gulliver, you now have protection on you, so remember, if you get hit within this combat round, then remember to remove 1d3 before you actually take any damage. Cool. Okay then, and then so we're now up to turn 3 for anybody who's still got actions left. Gulliver.
So Gulliver will be the second turn of his 3-turn cast of his rack spell.
Okay, cool. And Hazra, do you have any left?
I do. Hazra, seeing this savage being picked up by this strange goblin, he can see him being the leader. So as he's sprinting to his 78 meters, he plants his left foot down and launches his javelin towards this savage.
Okay, so are you doing it from? You're just stopping where you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally I've sprinted 78 meters. I've seen this giant goblin pick up this man, ready to do whatever.
So you'll be 24 meters plus the distance. Yeah. So it'll be about 30 meters. Yeah.
It's just shy of 30. Yes.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Launch your javelin.
I will use a point of luck, please, because that is such an awesome move I'm doing.
Okay then. So that will take it. Are you just reversing it?
Yes, please.
Yes. Will 9 be a crit?
I'm 69's my skill.
Oh yeah, so it won't be. You should say if you expand it should give you crit, but I don't think it is. I think it's 10%, is it not?
I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. So you sort of like launch your spear at this. Is it the savage or the
savage, please.
The savage? Yeah. Go for it.
So it's a 1d10.
Just so you know, that you still succeed, but you that would have been a hard roll because it's within. There's 2 of them really close together, but you still succeed on a 9, so that's not a problem.
So 4 points damage. and I want to choose location as being as my special as being right arm.
Okay then, yeah. So it's for the damage.
Yes, please.
Right arm. Thank you. What's 97 take away 4?
I'm muting myself.
Yeah, so your javelin sort of like goes shooting across, and just as the chaos beast sort of like turns the savage, the shaman, in order to start to run off, your javelin goes shooting past and just sort of like skims his right arm, and you sort of like you see it sort of like do a gash across it, and it just sort of like carries on sailing in and sort of like whacks up against the tent. You do notice that this spider here suddenly starts to almost like shimmer, and as it shimmers, you suddenly see it almost like shrink instantly, as if Gulliver and Bartleby, you almost like see that it's almost like the spellcaster is actually trying to maintain concentration on it, and with a 73, which is not, I don't think, by his willpower. No, his willpower is 62. He loses concentration on the actual on the spirit there, and the spirit just sort of like goes, and it sort of like disappears, but you almost like see it being withdrawn back towards the shaman, as if it originated from him, and now it's sort of like being sucked back into him. Chaos Beast goes next, and the Chaos Beast, almost like ignoring the cries of pain from the shaman, just starts to belt off through the actual forest, and suddenly you realise that he seems to be running in such a way that he's actually bashing things out the way, so any low branches are just sort of like, he's not even trying to push them away, he's just running. And you'd notice that, interestingly enough, he's protecting the savage, the shaman, with his other arm, and he's just sort of like got his head down with his horns and just running into things and bashing it left, right and centre. He actually plows over this tent. He just seems to go right the way through it, and he sort of like heads off into the night. Let me just do a quick measurement. Yeah, so at the present moment in time, he seems to be just about to pass off the map. He seems to be increasing his speed to somewhat of a sprint. He doesn't seem to be there yet. Hengist, you're up. If you've got any actions left.
I do. I have one left. This chap's still alive on the floor, isn't he? Or is he passed out?
No, the one in front of you. He's this is the one that took he took a leg wound, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So he's toppled over. He's prone on the floor, but he's still conscious. He can only parry or evade, and that's it.
Okay. Hengist wants to move away move out of combat. He wants to get to the tent where the other guard disappeared into. So do I have to roll an evade for that one then?
No, because the guy on the floor can't actually attack you.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can move your movement. Yeah.
How far is that? Okay, so Hengist is going to run to the tent.
Okay, then.
He wants to go. If the flaps are down, he wants to. No, he's just going to go through. He's just going to run into trying to head first into the tent.
Okay then. What you actually, as you get to the tent, as you burst through the flap, you see that the barbarian is inside, and as actually there seems to be a variety of people gagged and tied up in this tent. It's not done nicely. There's just sort of like lying on top of each other and everything, and you sort of like burst into the tent, and you see that this barbarian is literally, he's got his spear and he's holding it double-handed with his shield sort of like attached to his arm, and he's literally just sort of like kebabbing these villagers, and he just seems to be going through both, almost like whacking his spear through two people at the same time. He's not aiming for arms or legs or heads. He's just going for the biggest area, sort of like chests and abdomen, and just sort of like shoving it in and going right through to almost like pinning them to the ground and then pulling it out. And you can see that he's probably killed 6, maybe 7 of these villagers already. They're probably not dead, but as you get close, you can hear the crying and the screaming, and you just sort of like come into the room and into the tent, and you notice that many of them are just sort of like bleeding out at a horrific rate.
So as Hengist runs into the tent, he's just going to growl out, "You bastard," with his sword pointing towards him, but like in a really aggressive voice. So he's like, "You bastard!"
Excellent. Yeah, and
trying to get the chap's attention.
Yeah, and as you do that, the barbarian sort of like hears you and just sort of like pulls his spear out of the two people, the double people that he's just stabbed, turns round and just sort of like whacks it straight at you, and he rolls a 15, which will be a hit.
Okay.
Do you have any?
No, that was my third action was getting.
Okay
it.
then. Cool.
Actually, no. I'm going to use my luck point to get another action if that's possible.
Yeah, you can get another action and then
in which case I'm going to
parry it. Yeah, so he sort of you sort of come in and swear at him, and he sort of like pulls his spear out and tries to whack you, and you just see the spear coming and quite deftly knock it over to one side. Bartleby, we're down with you.
I have no actions, but I'm protecting Gulliver.
Protecting Gulliver. So excellent. We will now go to combat round 4, turn 1. I think Hengist, you probably have to make a endurance check. Yeah. You're absolutely fine. Gulliver, you're up. So this will be number 3. Yeah.
Yes, but there's nothing in sight for what I was casting at anyway.
Yeah. Okay then. So are you just going to hold the spell therefore, just in case? You can hold the spell now. Just take an action to hold it, and just in case anything pops out to kill you.
No, I'm going to recast, and I'm going to start casting another spell. So I'm going to drop that one, and I'm going to start casting another one. Yeah, this is difficult because no, I'm going to hold the spell.
Okay, you're holding spell then. Brilliant. So that'll be holding spell 1. Okay then. Hazrat, you're up.
I will now continue to run.
So I think it'd take you up to 14 meters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So the barbarian here is down and out, isn't it?
He's just sort of like rolling around on the floor.
Okay.
Hengist put his sword through. You know the point on the base of the hamstring, just above the knee. He's just cut him there.
Yeah. Very nice. I will run to the fire in that case.
Okay.
Look for my spear.
Yeah. So your spear's sort of like further back because the savage was here. So you can see your spear is further past the tent, and you can hear that there's combat happening in the tent, and you can definitely hear now sort of like cries of anguish and screaming, etc. You suddenly notice nobody can see the chaos beast anymore, and that seems to have disappeared off into the night sky and into the night forest. But the other thing, Hazra, you do notice as it disappears, it doesn't seem to have any light source on it, so it literally is just sort of like taking up in the darkness. So it's it doesn't look like it needs light or anything like that. Hengist, you're up.
Hengist is going to hack somewhat menacingly into this chap.
Yeah, cool. Make your attack.
52.
52 is nice. He does have action, so he can try to parry that. With a 66, he will fail. Yeah.
So what does that mean?
So you'll have one special hit location damage.
Okay.
He's not carrying a shield. He just was using his spear double-handed.
Yeah. Okay. Special is going to be bleed again. Hit location will be whatever that was.
His abdomen. Do me some damage.
Incoming damage. 10 points.
10 points. Barbarian abdomen. 10. Okay, he needs to make an endurance roll.
You thrust your sword through
24, which I think is fine. That's not a problem. Let me just see. What? You hit him in his abdomen, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, for 10 points. -1. Yeah. So he looks like he's still up, but he looks like you sort of like slash him right there across his sort of like his side of his stomach, and there's quite a deep gash there that's slowly seeping out blood. He sort of like grabs it and sort of like starts to holds his spear one-handedly and sort of like tries in vain to sort of like try to parry, if anything else. He sort of like tries to back away as you sort of like press the advantage. He doesn't attack you back. He does sort of like staggers, frantically trying to hold his spear in some kind of defensive position. Bartleby, you're up.
I don't want to leave Gulliver out here in the woods alone, so I'm just going to hang out with him and my shovel I picked up at Aylesford.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, you two are sort of like stood together in the torchlight, both with candles, and we go into combat round 4, but turn 2. And Gulliver, you are up.
There's still no targets that I can see to cast my spell at?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, I'm going to hold it again.
Okay, cool. So you're going to hold spell for turn 2. And Hazra, you're up.
Hazra, hearing the screaming from the tent, will...
You can't actually get into the tent at the moment because...
in the way blocking.
Yeah.
In which case, I'll move to my spear and pick it up.
Yeah, that's cool. If the tent was bigger, there would have been a space to sort of like try to move past him, but with all the dead bleeding bodies, I mean, it's getting quite soppy underfoot in there in any case. So you'll move to your spear. That's absolutely fine. So you'll need your final action to pick it up next round. Hengist, you up.
Hengist is really annoyed with this chap, so he's going to continue attacking him.
Okay then, cool, go for it.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
So his special this time instead.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Yeah, and you sort of like swing with your sword, and he manages to deflect it with his spear, and then he can't actually attack, but he's used up an action point there. And Bartleby, are you staying with Gulliver?
I'd like to just be like, Gulliver, do you think we should see what's going on? I don't see them. Maybe we should go investigate. And then end my turn.
Okay then. Gulliver, are you holding the spell for any particular reason? An event happening?
Well, if some, I mean, as far as Gulliver can see, that there's two down, and the spider just disappeared.
Correct. Yeah.
And the Minotaur bull thing just grabbed the other guy and ran off. But Gulliver doesn't know where the other, because Gulliver knows that there was 3 guards, but he doesn't know that the other one's in the tent.
Okay.
Because he wasn't close enough to see that. So Gulliver just knows that there's still one more guard somewhere.
Okay.
So that was why he was holding the spell.
Okay then. I'm just Hazra, what do you want? You will pick up your spear in this combat in this next combat.
Action, I want to shout to Hengist. Do you need help, Hengist, or have you got it covered in there?
Yeah. Well, what I think Hengist is the plan to kill this barbarian in here.
No, I was going to try to get him to surrender.
Okay then.
We've already got one alive, haven't we?
Yeah, this one down here is still howling on the floor. Rather than going through a whole load of repeats of hit, parry, hit, I'm quite happy to sort of like bring the combat to a close, because you all have advantage on each other. So I mean, it's quite easy for you now to sort of like overpower with Hazra's help this barbarian in here, or if you wish to kill him, he's got quite a deep gash down one side of his chest and abdomen, so it would be quite easy. So
so what Hengist will do, he doesn't want to kill him yet. He would sort of disarm him and then sort of get behind him and give him a half push, half kick out the tent.
Yeah. Okay then. That's
his side and by the fire, and Hengist is going to stand over him and say to Hazra, there are people there are villagers in the tent. I'll look after this guy. You free them.
Don't forget, Hengist. This man looks like he's bleeding.
Oh, I know he's bleeding. Don't worry.
Bartleby and Gulliver, what's your plan of action now? So you can see that the combat is coming to a close. You see Hengist kick this unarmed barbarian sort of like out of the tent, and sort of like he collapses on the floor. What would you two like to do?
I mean, once we've been given the all clear by either Hengist or Hazra, then you know that it's, or they need help, you know, for to heal people in there, then Gulliver will move up. Okay,
so are you going on the way as well, Bartleby?
Yeah, I was just waiting to make sure that Gulliver wasn't out here in the woods alone to be ambushed.
Right, cool.
So I'm following.
I will shout out to Gulliver and Bartleby. The Gulliver Bartleby, the one by the tree, is still alive. Keep him alive. We need to question him.
Yeah, so
even then, it's going to take me sort of like.
It's going to take significant amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's four 4 turns if I sprint, but I wouldn't be sprinting.
Yeah, it's going to take you quite a amount of time to actually get into here. So Hazra and Hengist, what's the plan for you guys? What?
I want to shout to Bartleby as well, saying, Bartleby, there are people in this tent that are injured and need your help.
Yeah, so they've got 100 meters to get to that point. Bartleby, what's your movement? Because you're not likely to be sprinting unless you specifically wish to sprint.
Not sprinting, but hearing that there are people in danger and knowing that Gulliver's following, I'll forget that I'm actually protecting him and go for a run if I can, which would be a 17. 17.
So you have to make 100 meters with your 17. So it's roughly going to take about 5 turns. What's your Gulliver's?
Well, mine's 17, but I don't want to be getting them and be having to make another. Oh, I won't have to make a fatigue check. Oh, or will I? Is the combat finished?
Combat's finished, but fatigue is not just related to combat.
No, but I'm at the moment I'm under one of Bartleby's spells.
The folk magic one.
Yeah, I'm quite happy for you guys to get there without a fatigue.
Okay, so if Gulliver doesn't feel as Gulliver will set off at a run, and if he doesn't feel fatigued.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool.
As he's going there, then he will continue running. Otherwise, he will slow to a walk so that he doesn't. But he's still going to take him 6 turns to get there.
So what I'm going to do is turn around.
Run is 17.
Okay, so it's the same as Bartleby. So you're you're like running together.
So seeing those two running, but realizing it's going to take them a little while of time, Hengist is actually going to order the prisoner that we have, so the barbarian, into the cage that the beast was in.
You can sort of
at the moment, because he's also thinking, I'm about to go and release those prisoners who have just watched him kill all his mates. I kind of need to make sure they don't mob him.
So you can sort of bring him over here and pop him in. Hazra, you'll have some actions while Hengist is doing that.
Yes, I will go into the tent and free, without moving them in a sense. I want to free the people that are well.
Yeah. So can you roll a 1d8 for me, please?
I certainly can.
Okay, so by the time you get in there, you figure there's about 8 people all in all there. However, the majority of 5 of them look like they're completely bled out, and the floor's quite squashy and spongy with the copious amount of blood that's been cascading out of these. You do notice that there's 3 people who are uninjured. There's 2 sort of here, and that seems to be that the barbarian hadn't even got round to, and there is 2 people here, and it's quite interesting that it looks like they were tied together, and the guy on top has actually rolled himself probably towards the barbarian and has taken the spear point, and he's actually dead. But you do notice that sudden movement has misplaced the spear thrust, and it's probably hit his spine on the way through. And here's the woman that he's actually attached to, seems to be a little bit shook up, but seems to be actually alive. So what did you wish to do with that?
I want to free the alive people, and I was going to check for, go through and free everybody. Alive people first, then working down to the injured people or dead people.
Yeah, so you sort of take off the bounds and sort of the 2 living and the 1 living, and they're sort of whimpering and crying as you do that, and you sort of turn around and start to untie the dead ones. Is that the plan?
Yes, help me see if anybody's alive. You help me untie these people. Make everybody here. And
you sort of turn around to start dealing with the other people, and Hengist, you're busy with the barbarian popping it in the cage, and Bartleby and Gulliver, you're sort of jogging up to this, and you sort of like bypass the barbarian there, Bartleby, going, my leg, ah, like that. And you notice that he's probably not got long to live at all. But as you actually approach Gulliver, it seems that once you turned your back on these three, they literally start to scamper out of the tent. And they just seem to go sort of like, I'll put a general arrow on. They seem to head off in this direction. And Bartleby, you sort of like busy tie, and then you sort of like hear a kerfuffle behind you, and you look round just as you see the man. There's one man and two women, and the man and the woman are sort of like dragging the other woman out. And they make a run down here, and Bartleby and Gulliver, that's when you arrive there. Hengist, you've got this guy into the cage and locked it. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
I feel concern about the howling person who's injured, even though that was a barbarian. Gulliver, Hengist, should we be getting this guy in with his friend in the cage?
That's what we're going to do with him. I'm just popping this guy in the cage so that the prisoners don't mob him in a moment and Hazardous release them.
Well, I think I just saw some people walking down
What?
that way.
He just like looks over his shoulder because he was concentrating on putting this prisoner away.
Yeah, you sort of like see some of them just sort of like disappearing behind this tent and going off into the night.
Gulliver's going to continue on his way, heading towards where we saw the villagers coming out from.
Okay. So are you both ignoring the barbarian that's injured on the ground? That's had his hamstring snapped by Hengist's sword. Is that?
I think Bartleby stopped next to him.
Yeah, he stopped,
Yeah.
and I think Bartleby asked Hengist and Gulliver whether or not we were going to do anything about the guy. So Gulliver, you just sort of like carried on, and Hengist sort of said he's just protecting this guy. So Bartleby, it looks like you're on your own with this one.
Well, I'm going to take that as an affirmative, and so I'm going to try and start dragging him over to the cage area where Hengist is.
Yeah, and he's still able to sort of like parry attacks, etc. So you sort of like he's not sort of like out cold, and sort of like as you go near him, he almost like starts to push himself away, sort of like dragging his leg that is now just sort of like all his armor and everything is just sort of like sodden with blood as he sort of like tries desperately to back away, and he seems to be crying, shouting something at you. It seems to be quite a harsh back of the throat language. It seems to have a lot of huck in it, and he seems to be shouting something, but you're not too sure what language he's even talking about.
Well, in that case, I don't appreciate that tone, and I'm going to pray for Amriel to give him a change of mind, specifically praying this prayer at him. He has a willpower save.
Oh, cool.
And I have a 6.
So he'll need a critical to actually... and he gets a 73. Yeah, so he seems to become a little bit more flaccid, and he sort of like then sort of like slows down, but he's almost like he then almost like whispers to you. It's almost like a growl, and you almost like hear him saying these whole of this sort of like Zaka, Zaka, like this at you, and then he sort of like thinks carefully. And he almost like says to you to, in a not very polite way, to keep your divine magic to yourself. Oh, in so many words.
I don't understand the meaning of that sentence there. So I'm going to I don't have. It doesn't. Does it seem like he? I haven't communicated with him, so I don't know if he'd understand my language. I'm just go for it. I'm gonna say, things will go better for you if you get the cage willingly. I can roll influence if that.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good roll.
Excellent. No. Could I use a point of luck to make that a 48?
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. So I
Yes.
will hang on, because he can actually. This is an opposed roll. So
Yeah, suppose.
so I'm almost like thinking willpower will be the best one to resist about this. Let's see. He gets a 4, which means that he will actually have a crit on that. So he almost, you sort of like try nicely to passively encourage him to go by himself, and he turns around to you and he uses some very harsh language that you think might have been swearing, but you're not too sure. Gulliver, you're still heading to the
Well, he's
tent.
heading towards both the tents. If nothing persuades him to go into the tent where the villagers are, he's going to go to the one where the painted man came out of.
Okay, yeah, you can.
I don't know whether or not the flaps open up the other one, or.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that Hazra's in there freeing people as you come up to it. So you probably go into the other tent.
Yeah.
In any case, yeah. What would you like to do once you're there?
Well, he'll pull the flap open so that there's some light going into it, and he'll see what he can see.
Yeah, just roll a perception check for me. Again, it's just for information rather than, it's not as if I'm going to say you can't see anything, but I just want the level of information. Right, okay, yeah, there seems to be a whole load.
A point of luck to swap those round.
Okay, so that would then be a hard, I think. Yeah, 39 out of 41 for the hard. Yeah, so there seems to be some kind of paraphernalia in here. There seems to be what appears to be wooden bowls, and you notice that several of them seems to have like a reddish, rather thick liquid in, and it's no doubt that this is actually blood, and probably even human blood as well. There seems to be 3 or 4 wooden bowls with this in, and then various what can only be described as painting instruments. There seems to be like a stick with some kind of cloth wrapped around the end, and there's just sort of like resting in the bowls. There's also seems to be a whole load of glass bottles, very similar to the ones that you saw in the alchemy shop in Aylesford. It doesn't look like there's anything in them, but there might have been something in them before. You can see that the stoppers are in a different place, as if it's just been pulled off and left. There's also what appears to be almost like a sacrificial dagger. It's got quite a curved blade that is serrated down one edge, and it just seems to be resting on what appears to be something that seems incredibly out of place here, which seems to be a satin cushion. It's just sort of like very plush. It's very sort of like dark red, and this dagger is on it. You see that the dagger itself looks very fine, but the hilt seems to be almost like this part of an arm. So it's almost like the radius and the ulna is actually the hand, and the grip of it, the hilt. And you notice that it's actually the curved serrated edge of the blade is actually held in place with almost like skeletal fingers on it. The only other thing that seems to be in here is some kind of a chest. It's about, if you can see my camera, it's about this wide, so it's just over 50 centimeters in length. It's about 20-30 centimeters deep, and about 30-50 centimeters high. It looks quite ornate, but it is shut. and you can quite clearly see that there is a keyhole in it. Hengist, you've got this barbarian into the cage now. What would you like to do?
Seeing that the prisoners, one lot of prisoners have run out, and there doesn't seem to be any more prisoners running out. It seems a little bit pointless having this chap in the cage for the moment. But he's going to call over to Bartleby and say, just that one doesn't look like he's long for this world, neither does this one. We might as well just let them have the best chance possible. After unless we've got any questions for them.
Yeah, so Hengist says this to you, Bartleby. Hazra, you sort of like untied the rest of the people. They are well and truly dead. They've lost a huge amount of blood. There's nothing else in here. There's quite a smell of human feces and urine in here. They've obviously just been left here, and it looks like the barbarian was just almost like finishing them off.
I will back out the tent, shaking my head in disgust, and I will turn to Hengist, and I will say, Hengist, it's terrible what has happened in there. There are people that have been dead for a while, and people who have been killed. It's a travesty. It's terrible. We must avenge this. That man in the cage must pay for what he has done.
Anybody can act now. I'm quite happy.
You mentioned about these bits of wood with sort of like cloth in the end that might have been used for some type of
painting.
Yeah. Are the insides of the? Is there anything on the insides of the tent? Have any markings been made on that?
No, not at all. The sticks with the cloth are actually sort of like propped up at the side of the bowls with the blood in them. They look like they have been used, these bits of material, but it's definitely, somebody's definitely used it by dipping it into the blood and then done something with it. But what it is, you're not too sure.
And the chest that is there, is it the same size as the one that we've had the seeds in, or is it something?
Oh, it's bigger.
It's a larger one rather than a small locked box.
It's almost like some kind of coffer. It's almost like it's not. Your seed would go into it and rattle around in it. It doesn't look like it's anything like major.
Okay.
Yes, Bartleby, what would you like to do? You sort of like stood over this swearing barbarian at the moment.
And Hengist had just spoken to me, so I'll just kind of shrug off away from that barbarian that was swearing at me so very rudely, and coming over to Hengist. Should we do something about his wounds before we leave him, or
we can try? But the other one, and Angus is going to nod over to one that you've just left, Bartleby. He says he'll probably never walk again, and this one is again, I managed to get a good scratch on him and on his abdomen. So
and
he's probably not long for this world unless we do something.
Yeah, and as you sort of like look over at the guy out over the side that Bartleby left, and you see that this barbarian is almost like rolled onto his front and is literally almost like commander crawling, dragging this injured leg, and he sort of like got to here. And Bartleby, you can see that there's sort of like a smear of blood from his injured leg, sort of like staining the mud, and it's obviously the wound is actually picking up what appears to be grit and soil and everything. You're quite versed in first aid and medical issues, and if he survives that long, and from monster lore that wolves are going to smell this a mile away, you think that he will either die slowly, maybe with some kind of septic wound, or the wolves will get him. But he does seem to be still crawling away from you in a desperate attempt to almost like go somewhere.
Catch him, tie him up, and build a fire on his chest.
I mean, all he had to do is not be rude, and Amriel's grace would have saved him. However, you can't do anything if you don't let Amriel into your heart. Now, this man in the cage here, maybe he's more agreeable.
Yeah, so he's the one that has a sort of like a massive gash on his abdomen, and you can see he's not armored. He's not got any weapons or anything, but you do see that he's sort of like clutching his hand to it, and you notice that his hand's now quite bloody as it's been seeping out. It looks like Hengist, you've seen wounds like this before. It looks like it's going to be definitely a mortal wound. You know, he's literally just seeping out blood very, very slowly. You figure that he's probably lost quite a bit in any case.
Sir, can you understand me? I say to the guy in the cage.
He sort of like when you talk, Bartleby, he sort of like looks at you, but you think it's probably only because you've mouthed some words. Could you just roll? Is it? I always want to say insight, but is that what it is in this game?
We have insight.
Yeah, just roll insight for me, please.
I'm not using luck.
Okay, yeah, and he sort of like looks round to you, and he sort of like goes "fucker," like this, and he brings his free arm around, and he seems to make this sign, and it doesn't look like it's a pleasant sign at all. He sort of like does this at you. It's not something that you're familiar with. Hazra, can you just, because you're sort of like coming round at this point into this area, could you roll a culture roll for me, please?
I'm so offended. I don't even know what it means.
It is a hard roll, just to let you know.
Why can I not see culture?
Is it culture that I'm asking for?
Customs.
There's a customs.
There's a customs one.
And there's
I mean, there is culture, but it's
Culture is it's a professional skill, isn't it?
and you need to have had.
Okay then, so roll customs then. Well, it is a hard roll. Ooh.
So close yet.
Yeah, you're not too sure what it means, but you definitely think it wasn't good. He actually did this. He went like that.
Or if he's flipped it, that's bad.
Gulliver, you're still
So
in the
Gulliver, seen what he's seen in this tent, and the only thing that he's sort of like taken interest in, he's definitely not going to touch this dagger. There's something not right about it.
Yeah, just roll a commerce skill for me. Read the dagger. You figured the blade itself might even be made out of silver, but it doesn't seem to have that gunmetal grey sort of like look to it. And you know, even when you've got your light or you open the flap for the candle light to go in, it definitely seems to be either extremely highly polished or it's not actually a normal metal. It could be silver. Yeah. What was the other thing?
Gulliver's going to list. Still in the tent. He's going to lift the flap, and he's going to shout out, "Bartleby, I need you in this tent."
Coming immediately, because some people are rude.
I've sent you a PM.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't normally have PMs.
I'm going to send you one as well.
Everyone's fitting
Don't
left.
forget the bread.
Okay then. So Bartleby, you'll be over there. Chugawugga, don't.
I'll send you a PM.
And you shouldn't make fun of Medivac like that. It's not nice.
You don't want to read it out now, do you?
Just roll some damage for me, Hazra, because Hengist won't see this coming.
Oh,
That's not a problem.
You can actually do max.
Max 8 in that case.
Yeah, 8 points of damage. Okay then. So yeah, Bartleby, you go over to the tent. So Gulliver, Bartleby's with you now.
He's going to say, "Can Amriel see anything magical in here?"
well, Gulliver, that is a very interesting question, and I would like to see if I can, while waving my arms around, to do the proper prayer of true sight.
You can take minutes, so you can do easy roll.
I'd love to take minutes.
You don't actually need minutes at all. So you cast your eyes using your witch sight around the tent to try to look for magical things or auras or anything that's radiating magic. The blood bowls and the piece of stick don't seem to have anything magical at all. The silver dagger with the bone handle and the fingers, that definitely does radiate magic, and it seems to be the blade that is radiating magic rather than the bone handle. The other thing that you do notice that as you sort of like scan around, there was these glass vials that were just sort of like empty with the stoppers pulled off, and you do notice that there's a faint glow of magic round there. It's very, very faint, and it's probably refracting off the glass and of the almost like a little bit of the area around. The chest does not look it's not radiating anything at all, but you wouldn't be able to see what was in it with witch sight in any case. It's a bit like Gulliver's chest actually protects the seed in the same way. Hengist, you sort of like follow your gaze, and as Bartleby sort of like goes up there, and as you sort of like look around this thing, where you suddenly have this feeling that Hazra is no longer by your side at all, and you actually see him over here, and he looks as if he's just hamstringed the other guy.
I've already hamstringed
the other leg.
See here.
The other leg,
right.
and it definitely looks like this this barbarian is he hasn't got long to live at all. If anything, Hazra, you can probably quite happily say that he is dead.
Food for the forest.
Yeah, food for the forest.
Is there like a sleeping cot or sort of anything in here?
No.
I want to look around to see whether or not I can find anything maybe to wrap the dagger in.
Yeah, Bartleby, are you relating what you saw with your witch sight to Gulliver?
Yes, and I guess emphasizing the two parts that are certainly magical, and trying my best to say how glowing with moonlight and magic they truly are.
So you can probably find something to wrap it up in, if you so wish, Gulliver. There maybe you'd be able to sort of like use something to cut a bit of the canvas away from the tent to wrap it up with it, if you wish. It's completely up to you.
As far as value goes, I've already made a commerce roll, haven't I? And I just determined that it was silver.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't.
Gulliver's going to say to Bartleby, after Bartleby's told him that it's the blade's radiating magic, Gulliver's going to say, "Is it evil?"
I'm not sure that Amriel shows me the morality or the flavor. All I can see, I believe, is that it is indeed magical. I think in some stories I once read, there were types of silver that were particularly powerful against creatures, monstrous creatures, I should say.
I sent you something, Mr. Pickles.
However, something in my mind says that, I mean, it's really how you use it, right? If you use a magical blade to protect the innocent, it's good magic in that sense, but you could also use that to be slaying villages full of innocent peasants. It just simply is magical, I think is what I mean to say, Gulliver.
I was thinking more of that maybe we could use to sell it to pay for our journey back to Lindo.
Well, I'm sure that people are asking questions about us around there by now. I told my priest in charge that I'd only be gone a few weeks. But do you think we should really be selling something that looks like something that somebody who likes playing with dead bodies would carry?
I thought you said that it depended on what you used it for, though.
Yeah, that's what Amriel says, but most people might look at this and think you've got a creepy knife.
So we leave it.
I don't know. That is a tough one. Because I certainly wouldn't look at this with my regular eyes and say, yeah, you're a do-gooding saint.
Okay, we leave it. Gulliver's going to if there's any sort of like handles on this small chest, he's going to try to grab hold of one and start pulling it out of the tent.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any handles on either side, but you can push it and sort of like bring it out of the.
He'll try to lift it first to see what weight it is, so that he can maybe judge.
Yeah, just make a perception roll for me, please.
Almost like, if it's really heavy, it could have gold in it or silver.
Yeah, no. When you pick it up, there's a sound of clinking glass from it, as if, and you sort of like think, the glass vials that you can see out and about. Maybe there's more in here. It's definitely not the only weight of the chest is the chest. Whatever's in it is quite light.
Okay. He's gonna when he picks it up and there's sort of like a clinking sound, he's gonna put it back down again, sort of like carefully.
In the tent or outside the tent?
He's still going to be in the tent, and
okay.
he's just going. There's no sign of a key at all.
You can make a search roll if you wish.
Yeah. So I want to. I mean, I was looking for. I'm going to see whether or not I can find a key anywhere.
Yeah. So just roll your perception roll. Yeah, you look around and you notice that there is, once you've moved the chest, there seems to be a pouch behind it that you didn't notice before. But there's no key that you can find or see at all. It's definitely a keyhole there, but there is a little pouch behind the chest, and it's only when you went to sort of like look around it that you saw it. It's not standing up like that, it's actually lying down, and it was almost like rested up against the back of the chest.
Okay. He's going to pick that up and sort of like see whether or not he can judge what's in it. Does it feel like it's coins in it, or
there's definitely something clinking about in there. It doesn't sound like metal or glass, but you sort of like lift it up and down a bit, and there's definitely sort of like a clicking sound inside.
Okay, he's going to unwrap the holding of it and he'll put it on the floor with the lantern next to it, and he'll open it up so he can see what's inside.
Yeah, and so Bartleby, you see Gulliver sort of like pick up this this pouch and shake it a bit, and then puts it down and opens it up, and you immediately see that there's some kind of magic from your witch sight still radiating from it. It looks like inside Gulliver there is just a whole load of what appears to be finger bones. So they're not actually joined together. It's just sort of like this part of the bone, that part of the bone, that part of the bone, and it just looks like they're sort of like almost like 2 hands worth of finger bones in there. They look quite almost like pale yellow.
Gulliver sort of like stumble backwards a bit as he opens it up and sees that it's full of.
There's no blood or anything. If anything, you sort of like see that bits of the edges are actually either chipped or worn away a bit. They've obviously been in here for some time. But Bartleby, you do see it radiating a bit of magic.
I let Gulliver know that, and I also say all this magic laying around. I think we should sell it, but we should find a way to dispose of it or keep it guarded. I'm going to take the knife at that point and hold it, kind of showing Gulliver that I am going to take it, or one of us is going to take it.
When you pick it up, Bartleby, it seems incredibly light. And just roll a commerce roll for me as you pick it up.
Ow.
Yeah, and as you pick it up, you're quite impressed by the workmanship. You too notice that it's not the normal gunmetal grey of a normal weapon, and you almost like agree with Gulliver that it seems to be silver. The only thing that you are very much aware of is that it looks quite nasty. If things look nasty, there's a slight curve on it, and the cutting edge is almost like serrated, as if it would be used to maybe a sawing action rather than a chopping action. And that seems a good point just to take, because it's just gone past. So why don't we just take our break there, and then you can get together afterwards and see what's happening. So thank you everybody who's watching the stream. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and then we will be right back. So go away, grab a drink, grab something to eat, and stretch those legs, and we'll see you in 10. Be right back. we are. No, no, it's a Three Musketeer. We're live, by the way, just so you know. But it's a Three Musketeer chocolate bar, and it says, yeah, it's a bit like Three Musketeers, a bit like a Milky Way. It says Three Musketeers is a candy bar made in the United States and Canada by Mars. It is similar to a Milky Way bar, lacking the caramel topping. Originally it had... Oh, I see. Originally it had 3 pieces in one package. Flavoured chocolate, strawberry and vanilla. That's why it's Three Musketeers. Oh, sorry, I haven't turned you guys on. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, they were turned on now. Yeah, so
we're always
cool.
turned on.
So you were having just a weird conversation there.
Yeah, I was just sort of like waffling on by myself, which is quite common. Yeah, so let's get straight back into it. So we know therefore that. Hazra, let's nip over to you because you've been slitting hamstrings, just hamstrings left, right, and front. We've made Justin hungry talking about Three Musketeers and Milky Ways. I had a mint chocolate club today. If you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join the club. That's probably something else that Mr. Pickles is just thinking, oh my giddy aunt, what are they talking about? Yeah, Hazra, so what would you like to do? Are you coming back into the camp?
Yes, once I've set this man on his way, I will come back into the camp and I will... I want to just look at the floor, look around, see what I can see. Have a look at this tent at the bottom here as well, because nobody's had a look at this one yet.
Yeah, so this tent down here seems to be almost like the sleeping arrangement tent, probably for the barbarians and the savage or the painted man that you saw. You can see that there's various bedrolls in there. There's also various cooking pots and things like that. So you figured this was almost like a communal sleep place.
There's no packs there with personal items.
No, nothing at all. I mean, just so you know, the barbarians did have spears, and they seem to have daggers as well on the belt, as well as the shield and the spear that they have. They also they seem to have nothing else. But they do have a passion called love of battle at 70%, which is really good when you're attacking.
Yeah, I will just have a general reconnoitre around the area and just make sure we are safe here. Any tracks that look out of place, and the obviously barbarians and the.
Okay, just roll a tracking roll for me, and while that's happening, Hengers, is there anything you would like to do? Yeah, Hazra, sorry, you can take minutes over it, so it's not a problem.
Knowing that this guy is dying slowly, Angus is probably going to let him have his chances with the forest, so he's going to open it up and then sort of like just gesture and sort of, because he doesn't understand my language, so he's got his sword out, he's just going to sort of like nod his head towards the forest.
Yeah,
and run away.
He's sort of like,
I'm not going to kill him.
Yeah, he's sort of
I
like,
don't kill people who are dying.
He sort of like clutches the side of his stomach as he sort of like staggers out, and you definitely think he hasn't got long at all, and he sort of like heads off in this distance, and you notice that when he's quite a distance away from you, he turns around and gives you this sign again, and this sort of like staggers off into the forest
sign.
and into the night. Gulliver and Bartleby, what would you like to do?
with Bartleby's last comment about he thinks that we should take the magical items, and with him picking up the dagger, Gulliver say, "You want me to take the chicken bones then?" Okay.
I was muted. I don't think that we should take the chicken bones. They look more of human bones to me, Gulliver. But I think we should destroy them if we can. To be honest, I don't know much about the workings of magic, Gulliver. I was kind of hoping you might understand that aspect. How would we dispose of magic items that we don't want evil having?
Sell them to good people?
That does make sense, but who would buy bones? We don't even know what they do. Is there any way you can test to see how you would harness the magic that I can see radiating from this box?
Oh, I'd have no idea. Maybe we could burn them. Fire destroys most things.
It's a good idea. That's a very good idea. And I can summon Amriel's holy flame down to ignite this coffer of.
I was thinking of
the pouch. Or do you want to ignite the chest?
I was thinking of just going and throwing it in the fire. That'll be.
Well, you're the expert. That might work as well.
Yeah, Gulliver's going to sort of like pick it up gingerly by the cord, and almost like holding it out at arm's length, as if he was sort of like holding a rat or a mouse by its tail. He's going to go out of the tent, and he's going to go over to the fire, which I believe has a dead body in it as well. Does it not?
Because it's slumped there because there was somebody there that had their throat cut.
Right. But is it still alive?
Yeah, it's still alive.
Okay, so he's going to drop the pouch into the flames.
Yeah, so Hengist and Hazra, you see Gulliver come out with what appears to be a small pouch or some description. And he sort of like throws it onto what's remaining of the fire, and you notice that the pouch quickly burns, and there seems to be some kind of bones in there that don't seem to ignite at all. They just sort of like almost like sit in the fire.
Does the smoke change colour?
No, not at all. Bartleby, you have the dagger, but there's also this chest in the tent with you as well.
Okay, I got confused earlier because I thought the chest was open and radiating the magic, but it was the
It's a pouch, yeah.
Pouch that we found behind it.
I'm just gonna check a little common sense, see if this dagger is somehow the proper key. It's probably not, but I want to just size it up with my eyes.
No, yeah, it doesn't look. You could probably use it to try to jemmy open the chest, but it definitely wouldn't fit in the keyhole. Maybe the tip of it, and that would be it.
This is too fine of quality to be shoving it into chest
Exactly.
box.
Yeah.
Once he's done that, Gulliver's going to go back into the go back into the tent, and he's going to say to Bartleby, let's take the chest as well.
We probably should see what's inside of it in case there's any dangerous things like this knife.
It sounded like there was maybe some vials in it or something. When I picked it up, and I could hear sort of like a clanging of glasses together.
I did see some radiation of the
vials like those.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you try it? Is it open?
Well, no, I didn't actually. I'm gonna check to see if it's actually unlocked, and I've just been messing around this whole time.
Yeah, it's not locked at all, and it doesn't have a key, and it looks like it can be locked. But when you open it, it seems to be a whole load of little compartments, and you notice that you figured the other glass vials that are around on the floor probably slotted into the empty hulls, and there's actually, it seems to be about let me just check. Yeah, there seems to be like 5 glass vials still in there. You think it probably held 10 originally in 2 lines of 5. It's not one line that is actually left. It's sort of like the N4 and one extra one on the bottom thing.
I think this is going to poke his head through the tent flaps and says, is there anything interesting there? Then seeing this, he goes, oh, have you found more of your luck potions, Bartleby?
No, but I think we found you a traveling tea case. If we move some things around out of this, perfect.
It might be a little bit big, but it's a kind thought, Bartleby.
Gulliver's going to close it up, and he's going to pick it up and take it outside.
Okay then. So we'll put you all outside, and just as you come back round, Hazard comes back from his scouting.
I would be looking north of where this goblin.
Yeah, there's 2 things that you notice, probably from this direction. You can definitely see what appears to be people stumbling along. Maybe there's a bit when somebody fell over. It definitely looks like the barbarian and the savage and the villagers came from that direction. You can see quite clearly the huge chaos beast going out as well, and it doesn't seem, however, that there's any tracks of the chaos beast coming in. So you can see them from this cage heading north, but the other tracks came in almost like from the southeasterly direction, and there's definitely no. I mean, you would recognise, there would be big strides and sort of like sunk into the soft ground here, but there's definitely nothing that indicates.
Sounds like he met the chaos creature in the village and brought it back with him.
If he was, then it was carried. Because
the tracks are going out from the camp.
Yeah, so the tracks are going that way where the Chaos Beast ran with the painted man, but you cannot find any signs of the tracks coming into the camp.
So it originated here, and then it seems to be that the big, large goblin creature thing, it was either created here or I don't know. There are no tracks of it coming into the camp. There are just tracks of it leaving the camp. It's very strange.
Is it not the thing that attacked Aylesford?
Well, that's the other strange thing. There's no tracks of it coming here. There are just people being brought here, and the only tracks there of the large creatures are leaving the camp. Unless
maybe you just missed them.
Maybe the volume of people have covered up the tracks of the large creature.
Hazard, just so you know, you don't think that is the case. It would be very obvious to see this beast coming into it. Yeah. And for example, there's nothing on the ground. There's no broken branches or anything like that. When it actually,
was it?
Yeah, and actually when it fled, do you remember it had its head down and it was just blasting through? Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't that creature that attacked the village at all. Maybe it was that sorcerer who conjured that giant spider, and perhaps it was the giant spider that attacked.
Angus, that is a very wise thing. Maybe he did. Maybe he summoned it. Gulliver, is it possible? Would he be able to summon a creature like that again in the village and subdue it and bring them here?
I don't know. He would need to be able to see it to summon it.
Well, he summoned it.
Unless it was
now when we were attacking.
Unless it was marked. This cage.
Yeah.
Is it wooden?
Yeah.
does it look sort of like hastily constructed? Is it something that might have been just
It doesn't. It looks like it's being constructed on site.
site? Yeah.
Yeah, rather than carried. I mean, you notice that the vertical poles are actually into the ground. So it's as if they've sort of like made the outside and then put struts across it and a lid on it. The Chaos Beast certainly got into it, but it would be more stooped. It wouldn't be sort of like stood upright at all. It doesn't look like it's been bashed or anything like that at all.
What do we do now, Hazra?
Well, the creature seems to have fled north. So should we head back to the village and find our friend Johan, or has he gone away? We came here to find the villagers. We have found 3 villagers left.
No, I came here to find the villagers. You were intent on killing the foul beast.
That is very true.
That's why we went with your plan.
It's true. Yes. So I will miss it.
But we have done as Gulliver says, we have rescued those the villagers, although they've now run off. I think we should try and get back to the village and hope the way that they went, and hopefully catch up with them and make sure they get back safe, and then maybe even suggest that they join the caravan.
Or maybe we should follow the beast that charged through the. I mean, his tracks should be easy to follow. If we can find the beast and find that witch doctor, and we can maybe stop his evil from happening again.
That's true, but remember, Hasra, we're on a greater quest at the moment. We need to get back to Lindo to find out what's happening and save Bartleby his life and get to Cassini.
Yes, I vouch your
And
great
it's going to take a long time to get back to Lindo.
Are we not supposed to be meeting Biniel?
I thought we were meeting somebody up here.
So, but she'll be waiting for us at the village, so we can always head back to the village. Hopefully she'll be there by now. I did check before we left, and there was no sign of her, so perhaps she's there by now. If not, we can try and catch up with the caravan.
I'm assuming that none of the bodies in the tent were like Neil.
Say again, sorry. No.
Yeah. Yes, perhaps then maybe we can help the villagers while we decide what our next course of action would be.
Okay, so the plan is that we're going to gather our stuff here and head back the way that we.
Are you taking
Head back the way that the villagers were left.
Yeah.
Following the villagers to make sure that they're safe.
Yeah. Are you taking the chest with you or not? Because that's been open, but nobody's mentioned anything about it.
How? I mean, it's not something that can be put in a backpack, is it?
No, it would physically have to be carried.
Carry between 2 people, hopefully.
There's no handles on it, though, is there?
No, not at all. You can sort of like both hold either side of it if you wish.
Yeah, well,
It's not.
Front.
It's quite easy for one person to carry it, but they will have both hands occupied as you carry it.
Well, what is in the chest? Is it?
Yeah, it's been open, Hazra, so you can see that there's glass bottles in it. And Hengist mentioned earlier that about Bartleby's luck potion that he has.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's a clear liquid with a centipede in, I think.
That's right, it's Chaser.
Okay, Gulliver's going to see whether or not I mean, somebody else will have to carry the lantern, but Gulliver will try to carry it back.
Yeah, it's like I said before. It's not exactly heavy. It's it just seems to be just with these 5 glass vials still in it, and then that's it.
There's only 5.
Yeah.
Could it be taken out, and is there anything sort of like to wrap them up, and could we get them into a backpack?
You could
leave the chest.
Yeah, I mean, you could wrap them up and put them in your backpack. It's probably the chest is the only thing that it's obviously designed for this. So, if they were in your backpack, then there would be, if you fell over or something like that, or something happened, there would be a chance that they would break. You can't protect them that much.
Right.
But
okay. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take off his backpack and he's going to he's going to go over to the tent where the sleeping thing was, and he's going to grab some I don't know, a blanket or something, and then using the knife that he got from in the Viper's Den, he's going to do his best to sort of like cut of it and almost like roll the vials in it.
Yeah. So you note, as you sort of like take them out one at a time, you notice that they seem to have some kind of a cork stopper in the top. They do look like glass vials. It seems to be a cork stopper, but there seems to be a ring of wax round it as well, as if to seal it.
Are they all the same size?
They're all the same size, but they do look different, and I'm about to tell you what they look like now. But I just want, so they got a cork bung in it, but then it looks like red wax has been dribbled round it, almost like to seal it. One has like a milky coloured liquid in, and it's got a bit of froth on the top. It almost like, when you get lemonade and you can see the carbon dioxide sort of like clinging to the edge. It looks a bit like that. It's a bit like when somebody gives you proper lemonade, that is sort of like that milky colour. It's definitely water with something in suspension, and there's a foam at the top. So there's one like that, that's just white. There is a totally clear one, and it seems to have 3 or 4 small, so they look almost like blades of grass floating in them. They almost like go the whole length of the vial. They're definitely green, and apart from that, the liquid is clear. Just looks like there's got like 3 or 4 blades of grass in them. There's another one that is actually it looks almost like it looks translucent, and it seems to be blue. And what you notice is that down at the bottom of the vial, it appears to be some kind of gemstone. It could be a sapphire or something like that, but it seems to have made the whole potion vial almost like translucent blue inside it. And then the last 2 are actually identical. And if you weren't, well, it could be. It almost looks like red wine in it. It's not blood. It's a lot thinner. You can sort of like tip it, and there seems to be nothing in them. And there's nothing in suspension. There's no rocks or anything like that. It just looks like red wine sealed in there, and then that's it. So
Okay.
Gulliver, make a note of them, please, as you pop them in, or put somewhere in your backpack. So if you ever want to take one out, then just refer to it how I've described it there. Yeah, okay then. So Gulliver busily puts these into the backpack. You've got Bartleby. You've got the dagger, if I remember rightly. And what would you like to do?
Well, I will head off following the tracks, with hopefully everybody following behind me, of where the rescue villagers went.
Yeah.
So this.
Okay, so just roll for me a tracking roll. If you wish to use luck on it, you're going to have to roll again.
Roll, yeah. And I can't reset minutes because I'm going to re-roll it. Yeah.
Okay. You sort of like head off in following it, but as you get further and further away from the camp, it becomes harder and harder to follow it. You notice that it's coming in quite dark now because it's well into the night, and even with your torchlight from Gulliver and Bartleby, you get to the point that you can't really see the pathway. You do notice, as roll 20 crashes, you do notice that it looks as if just roll a survival check, Hazra. There it is. I've got it. Thank you. Just 1 second. Let me just reorganize things here. Was it 92?
Yeah.
You don't. If the villagers are heading back to Aylesford, you don't think this is the way. It's as if you came up to the camp like that.
But we came up this way, and they're going that way. We came up northwest, and they're going northeast. So we came up southwest, and they came up southeast.
Yeah. So you literally came up. Well,
they come up northeast. They're coming down. They're going southeast.
Yeah, I mean, you actually almost like came up like here, and they actually ran off that way. And that's what I'm saying. As you sort of like head off, you're sort of like following the tracks, and you're quite familiar. You can see them, but as it gets dark and the undergrowth gets a little bit thicker, they don't seem to be battling through like the Chaos Beast was. And then suddenly you sort of like you start to lose the track. And people sort of like says, "Are you all right? Do we know where we're going?" You sort of, yeah, fine.
Sure, I know I'm going. Yes, I've done this all my life.
Yeah, and then it suddenly dawns on you that
look, a broken branch.
Yeah, you sort of like go, snap, a broken branch, and as you carry on, it suddenly dawns on all of you that it's as if you came up from Aylesford to the camp, but now you're going back, almost like further away from it. If anything, and it's after you sort of it's the plan just to carry on walking.
Just general direction. We know where Aylesford is in a sense.
Yeah, and you
go right, it will be there.
Yeah, and you keep going in this sort of like are you turning perpendicular to your track and starting to go the other way?
No. I want to follow this line of.
Okay, then. Yeah, and it's about after 2 or 3 hours of stomping through the forest, with Gulliver saying on several times, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Now, Hazra up at the front, you start to hear the running of water, and you sort of like come out of the undergrowth, and you appear to be next to the river. It's as if you've come out of the forest. The trees don't go right the way up to the river, and on the opposite side there's a plain. The river is quite wide. It looks you sort of like have a look at it now, but you notice that it's quite silty at the edges, but it's not muddy or anything like that. And the river's fast flowing, but it's not in a torrent or anything like that. And all of you sort of like come out in from the trees, and for the first time ever, Bartleby, you notice that Amriel is looking down on you from the night sky, and for the first time in quite a while you see her radiant glow sort of like casting moonbeams down, and it's almost like glittering off the water of the river as it sort of like goes by. You notice that, so if you imagine you've come out of it, the forest goes on either side. There's this river, but on the opposite side of the river it just seems to be like a plain, an open plain, a grassy plain.
Does inside the river look like the side that we came up on to Aylesford? Because the river was on our right when we came up to Aylesford, wasn't it?
It doesn't seem to make sense. And Hazra, just roll a survival roll, or you can augment. What's the other one that I want to do? Locale. Just augment it with locale. Survivor augmented with locale.
54, so that's going to be 11.
50, 54, so 10%, then double it. Yeah, so it's going to be 10.8, so you can have 11, yeah.
So survival, sorry.
Yeah, so just add 11 points onto it. Yeah, you sort of like look on it, because you could take minutes on it, and you don't think this is the same river. You think somewhere this might be almost like another river, either flowing parallel to the original one, or maybe even further down it might join it. You know, but you definitely get the feeling that there's like two rivers running parallel, and you've met the other one. It's probably...
I was going to say, which way now, Hazra? As he sort of like sees, sort of like Hazra sort of like looking at things.
Hengist, seeing how moony-eyed Bartleby's probably getting with Amriel's, and knowing that it's quite late at night and we have been walking and having a fair old fight, and says perhaps we should camp at the river's edge here tonight and strike out for Aylesford in the morning.
Yeah, but Bartleby's just there going...
Yeah, we've lost Bartleby. You might as well stop.
He just sort of like goes...
I agree, Hengist, but we have come a different direction. I mean, Aylesford is over there to our right, from what I can assume, because we came in a different angle to the camp. But this river is most perplexing, because I don't remember when I saw the scribblings of the drawings of the map that Johan showed us of where we were going. I don't remember seeing another river, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I would have to have a look at the map again, which we don't have with us. But I'm no good at reading maps anyway. They're just squiggly lines, but you should be what the river looked like then. Anyway, we rest here tonight, and then we will follow the river to the right, and we will be back at Aylesford hopefully on the morrow.
And it's you sort of like agree, and nobody rolled an insight to see whether or not Hazra was actually BSing it, I think the word would be. But you sort of like think, oh, he's pretty good with this tracking and thing. He's demonstrated in the past. So you settle down to sleep. And you post watches in the normal way and sort of like pass throughout the night. And everybody's like...
Drink the tea.
No tea.
No tea. Hengist says no tea. And you sort of like pass through the night, and every time somebody guards, it seems to be almost like chillingly quiet. There's no sort of like night times sounds or senses or anything like that. And if anything, it gets quite chilly through the night, and you sort of like pull your blankets close around you and get closer to the fire and keep stoking it up. You definitely feel that you're probably a lot further north than Advent, and it's getting colder the further you go up, and your watches pass without any instances, but sadly your sleep time seems to be punctuated with a range of different visions, and each one of you it almost like has a different vision or dream, and the dream seems really sort of like realistic, and at any one point you suddenly come round at the end of the dream. I'll tell you what everybody dreamt at the end is sort of like you come round and they sort of like wake up and then sort of like roll back over and sort of like fall back off to sleep once you see somebody else stood by the fire. Hazra, yours is the first dream that I'll describe to you, and please say in the morning whether or not you wish to share it. I'll trust that none of you are metagame with the information. So Hazra, you dream first, and the first thing you dream about is almost like your homeland, and you seem to be running extremely quickly over the steps, and you have your father's spear with you, and you're running. And to start off with, you think you are running for the joy of it, and as you're running across the step, you suddenly notice that it's getting darker and darker, and as you glance behind you, you suddenly realize that you're not actually running for pleasure. You're actually running for your life. And as you look behind, there seems to be a huge amount of blackness just quickly approaching you again and again and again and again. And as you look down, as you're running, your spear clasped in your right hand, you look down and you suddenly see that your black arm has actually, the blackness has actually grown, and you can see it passing over your shoulder as if it's letting out tendrils of like tentacles coming out, and then at the last minute it sort of like comes up and you feel it slowly constricting your neck. And as that happens, it's almost like this darkness envelops you and you wake up at that point. Hengist, yours is something absolutely completely different, and you seem to be in a town square, and you seem to be walking around in the town square quite happy, and everybody seems to know you, and they're all saying, you know, hi, how are you, so and so. And then you notice off in the distance that there seems to be some kind of execution happening, and almost like out of curiosity, you actually sort of like make your way there, and you see that there's two hooded figures on the gallows about to be hanged there. And as you get closer and closer, you see that the executioner is almost like laughing, and he's guffawing with laughter over and over and over again. And he almost like sees you stood there and smiles at you and removes the hood of one of the people on the gallows. And you see it's your sister stood there, and you feel panic sort of like race to you. You start to rush towards her in your dream, and you suddenly notice that the executioner sort of like holds out his hand like this, and you come to an abrupt stop, and he removes the hood of the second person, and you suddenly notice that you're looking into your face on the gallows, and that's when you wake up. Bartleby, you are having the most wonderful dream ever. There's all your dreams in the past have been punctuated by darkness dripping over Amiral's moon, but this is not the case at all tonight. There's some lovely moonlight, and it's cascading down on you. You seem to be sat in some kind of ornate garden on a bench, and you notice that you've got a harp or a lute with you, that you're almost like strumming, and it's as if your hands are completely well, and you know, as you strum along, and you're making wonderful music. And this woman sort of like approaches you and looks round at you and sort of like smiles, and she's almost the classic blonde beauty. She has this blonde flowing hair that is just waving down either side of her face, and she's got these crystal blue eyes that she sort of like stares at you, and she almost like seems to be moving slightly as the music sort of like approaches her, and she smiles at you, and you sort of like return the
B0B
smile.
rated my stream with 6 viewers.
And then what you suddenly notice is that round her neck she has a golden torque, and you sort of like see it, and as you see it, she sort of like grabs it as almost like defensively, and she grabs it and almost lets out a horrible scream as the torque starts to burn her hands, and she's sort of like holding it, and it just burns and burns, and just the flames just creep up her face, and then you hear her screams, and that's when you wake up. And finally, Gulliver, you're sort of like busy sleeping, and you're having wonderful night dreams about eating cheese and enjoying everything all together. And then you sort of like seem to be in a tavern somewhere, and you seem so happy eating the cheese, and you notice that you're by yourself on a table, and you also notice that other people are almost like keeping their distance from you and almost like shying away from you, and you suddenly start to think, why is this, why is this? And you sort of like look round, and you sort of like stand up, and as you stand up, they sort of like almost like step back away from you, and it's at that moment is that you catch a glance of what you're wearing, and you're wearing dark black satin robes of the Order of the Lich, and for some unknown reason you reach out your hand, and as your sleeve tumbles away from your wrist, you suddenly recognize the tattoo that you saw, what's his name?
Jeremiah Clubfoot.
Yeah, Jeremiah Clubfoot's tattoo actually on your wrist. And as you're looking at it, almost like blackness sort of like emanates from it, and you feel this tremendous pain. And as the pain goes, you sort of like scream, and then you wake up. And although you've all had these dreams, you fall silently to sleep afterwards. And interestingly enough, after you've had these dreams or visions or premonitions about what's yet to come, you suddenly fall into a deep sleep when there's absolutely no dreams, no waking, no nothing, and you just sort of like carry on, and then suddenly wake up for your watch, etc. And morning sort of like arrives, and you sort of like huddle round what is a measly fire, and cook off some rations or whatever you're carrying, and for the first time you can see around you. And the first thing that you notice is that if you imagine you're looking at the river, across the river, up to the north you can actually see mountains. It's not hills, there's definitely mountains, and they're snow capped in places, and they almost like rise straight up. There's no sort of like a gradual foothill, it just goes straight up into these mountains. And the other thing that you notice is not directly across from where you are, it's more almost like on a northeasterly fashion across the river, and some distance away you can see what appears to be a circle. Well, it's not really a circle. There seems to be three standing stones that does seem to be jutting out. They, even from this distance, they look huge, and they're not sort of like little stones. You must think that it's about twice the size of a person, and a lot thicker, and you could just see them out in the distance as you all wake up after your night. Yeah, so you're just sort of like sitting around the morning fire. Yeah.
Gulliver's not going to mention his dream.
Yeah.
But as he's sort of like starting to pack up his equipment and etc., he's going to say, so which way is Aylesford?
Aylesford, my friend, will be to our right. If we follow the river to the southwest, we will end up at Aylesford. If my intuition is correct. Now it usually is. We need to be going the right. We've been going away from Aylesford, but now we need to be going back directly right to it. So if we follow the river against its current, we will in Aylesford very shortly.
Okay, so Gulliver's going to continue packing up his stuff.
Cool.
I need to talk to you about something. Do you know when I touched you, the cursed thing you carry, that seed thing, when I tried to protect it from Jeremiah when he was trying to kill us, and I tried to take it away from his hand, it made my arm this black color.
When you tried to steal it?
I did not try to steal it. I was trying to take it away from him. The only way I knew how was to take it away from his hands. So I would not steal. You know me by now, Gulliver. You know I wouldn't. I'm not like that kind of person. And it burnt me. I had a strange dream last night, Gulliver, and you being a man of strange ways, magic or whatever you call it. I was in the steps and I was running, and it was a beautiful day, and then all of a sudden I looked behind me, this blackness chasing me, and I kept running and running, and then this blackness on my arm, from when I touched that cedar you carry, seemed to be spreading and coursing its way through my veins towards my chest and my throat, and then I started to stumble and fall, and I could not breathe, and then I woke up. Is this just a strange dream, or do you think it is a portent, or I don't know, Gulliver. I'm a little bit worried, if I be honest.
Well, it depends on how superstitious you are, Asrad. Yeah. Do your dreams normally come true?
No, I don't really dream that much, Gulliver, my friend. I being one of I sleep out in the forest. I'm normally quite astute, and my faculties are normally aware of what's going on. But last night I was oblivious to all my surroundings. I was locked in a room with this theatrical show going on in front of me, like the playmakers used to make, and I don't know, I could not wake myself up from it. It's unusual. I'm normally, any sign of trouble, I normally wake up and I'm ready, as you are aware.
Maybe it's just for all the fatigue from the last few days. We have had a rather harrowing time with all the dead people in Aylesford, and
maybe that is it.
Of that nasty man back at the camp, and the large bull creature.
So maybe that is it. I've heard of people from my tribe who had harrowing bear attacks, who sometimes would go into long dreams and relive the experience again and again. So maybe that's what that. Maybe I need to find some way to fix this in that case. I cannot be true to my nature with this dream if I cannot sleep properly.
I can pray for Amriel to send you good dreams. I mean, she sends me good dreams.
Oh, partly that would be mostly welcome, because Amriel, she's like a light on my heart.
Oh.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So does anybody else wish to share with the group anything that happened last night in their dreams, or are you just is only Hasra sharing it?
Hengist is not sharing his dream yet.
Okay.
Nobody asked, but Barley is just going to open into what his great dream was, sharing all about how his hands get healed and becomes a powerful musician. And of course, noting to Gulliver that my dreams happen frequently. They usually come true to an extent. So as long as I don't get married, I think Amriel says I'm going to be fine. Because the beautiful lady in the dream, she ended up, on fire. But who doesn't?
I dreamed a dream.
I wonder though if the torque that I saw in my dream on the woman was the same torque that we were searching for to reach Cassini's treasure. Because I wouldn't be thrilled about having my neck burnt up. I mean, my hands are already. I see people looking at them in these little towns.
I see dead
Mostly
people.
Lindo.
Can you remember what the talk looked like, Bartleby?
Yes, you can.
It was golden, and she was beautiful. Or the torque was beautiful. Oh, she was beautiful too.
It was just so you know, Bartleby. I'll draw what you actually saw. So the talk itself was almost like.
I'll draw it in the silk for you.
I know that book.
Ooh, fanciness.
Like this. So all this was flat gold and very plain, but it was sort of like well crafted, and it sort of like just lay almost like flat on just round her neck, and it was just like a clasp at the back. But it definitely looked like it was solid gold.
Do you think maybe yours was a vision from Amriel then?
Oh, Gulliver, most certainly. All of my dreams are visions from Amriel. She guides and provides the opportunities which we see. She certainly guided us here, where her glory bathed upon us as we slept. Of course, I got good dreams, but I guess.
Does she also give other people dreams as well then?
Well, it's possible. And of course, being around me and accepting the light that I call upon her to aid you guys in our times of trial, it's possible that she might be trying to communicate with Hazra. Unless you had a dream as well, but
does she always show the truth?
she shows a truth. And there's aspects that are often more that they have a different meaning than what they actually are.
Is she ever wrong?
No.
See, that isn't so, Bartleby, because my dream was horrific, and I hope that it does not come to pass.
Well, I mean, it's better to have warning of horrific things happening so that you can take measures to prevent that from occurring. It's kind of the blessing of an omen or portent, and perhaps we can.
But if a dream's come true, then how can I change it?
I'm sure Amriel will provide us the opportunity and the direction to prevent you from being taken over by your arm.
So it is a possible thing to happen rather than a certain thing to happen. So I may have a way to stop it from happening. Is it correct? No?
It's possible, I suppose. I think I see what you're asking. If you can change the events, but if you don't do anything to change them, it may end up just as the dream, and it could just be that your actions will cause the dream to occur.
If I chop my arm off, would that possibly help?
No, but we could try it.
Operation Back Doctor's game from MB.
I can see if we get back to Lindo, I can ask the higher priests if they can attempt to save you or ascertain what's wrong with your arm.
Yes, I mean, my arm feels fine. It's just this funny black color that doesn't seem to be able to wash away or go. It's like it's part of my skin now. I'm used to it, to be fair. It doesn't hurt. It looks quite threatening.
I see people looking at you funny though, Hazra, as if to say that you're cursed.
Yes, but do they come to me to attack me? No. The arm scares them away.
Whereabouts are we heading?
Yeah, so you've literally got three options at the moment. You can either follow the river north that goes up towards the mountains, or you could follow the river south that goes back somewhere You don't know whether or not it will lead you to Aylesford, Hazra, because you think you're off course in any case. And then if you remember, the other thing that you saw across the river were these standing stones. So those are your 3 options.
Well, I grew up by the standing stones. There's 3, so yeah.
Did kind of want to take a look at those. They look quite majestic over there.
They look very big. That's the sort of like the feeling that you get from them straight away. And Hazra, you can sort of like see now in the morning light that the river is quite fast flowing, but you only think it's about this deep.
Oh, it's got the shallow.
Yeah, you think it's probably just near the source somewhere.
Yeah. So would you like to, Bartleby, would you like to go across and have a look at the stones across there? You seem to be interested in them. The river doesn't look deep. You can ford the river here. You may get your feet wet though.
Wow.
Oh no! I was just going to say, can't Gulliver port you across? But it would just be summon him, and then you cancel it, and then go back. You could do it over and over again with Hazard. There you are, there, back you go.
It's like a book
I could put them across, and then just sort of like just sustain it for the rest of the adventure.
Yeah, forever, just forever.
But then, if we get into problems, you bring us back.
Gulliver, it seems to be sort of like that people want to go over to have a look at the.
Hengist was going to say he wants to go back to the village.
Do we know
How
which
far
one?
are the stones away?
So,
Like an hour away.
if that, yeah.
If that. Right. Yeah, Angus, my friend, we will go back to the village, but let us indulge Bartleby, as he's much help to our group, and he's a caring person. He's interested in these large stones, so let's take him there, and then we will go back to the village afterwards. Is that okay with you, my friend?
Hengist is just kind of sort of like broodingly start packing his bag.
It's okay. We don't. They just look like majestic stones. I'm sure they have no divine significance. We probably should go back to the village anyways to check on if there were the survivors made it back, or if they were even from that village.
Do you normally have dreams, Hazra?
No, I just said I don't. It's very rare that I have dreams because I'm always alert in them when I sleep. I see, the old saying goes, I tend to sleep with one eye open, if you know what I mean. So I very rarely dream. It's only when I'm in the comfort of the hut that I can sleep deeply. But no, when I'm out in the forest, I sleep very lightly, so I don't dream.
So which way are we going? Because we need to get moving soon.
But I would like to have a look at these stones as well, but as Mr. Hengist says, that if he wants to go back to the village, and let us go to the village to make sure the survivors, those 3 survivors, are safe in that huge village by themselves. Maybe they are burying the bodies.
Okay, so it looks like the choice that we're going to be making is to head
South
down the away from the mountains, not towards the stones, but down
south. Yeah. So as mentioned before, Hazra, you don't think the villagers, you lost the trail of the villagers some time back last night, and you were just going in the general direction and came out here. So you sort of like turn southward and start walking along by the river. Are you staying on the edge of the river, or do you want to go back into the forest?
No. Stay in the clearing. It's nice and straightforward walk, gentle. No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay then. So you start walking down, and you walk sort of like all morning.
Just to give you an example, how long did it take us to get from the village to the tents?
Village to the tents was just like 2 hours.
So anything longer than 2 hours, and we're not going to the village in that case.
Yeah, but remember from the campsite, you didn't go straight down south.
No.
You almost like went off.
Southeast.
Yeah. So I'll just draw it on the.
So my theory is we're doing a triangle.
Yes. So if the purple bit's the camp,
Mhm.
and this is like Aylesford here, you came to it like that. And then you've left it like that,
Yeah.
and then you've come across the river like that.
Mm.
And now you've gone. Now what you've done is you've continued to go
Oh, down. Oh, I see my mistake.
down this way.
Stupid.
Yeah. So
we need a new tracker
Yeah, this one's
and
broken.
guide.
you
This one
you
needs
walk.
I'm gonna do a character called Tom Tom.
Nice. Yeah, so you walk almost like right the way down to noon, and you notice that the weather's not too bad. There's a bit of a breeze, but this almost like seems to be a chill in the air because the wind seems to come from prevailing from the north. And that seems to be sort of like the cold aspect of it. And as you're walking, it's down on your backs. You start to sort of like wander for the day, and then you come to the for lunch, and I'm not too sure how much rations you sort of like brought with you, because you left. I think the bard came back into the town, and then you sort of like. Johan sort of like said that he wouldn't go anywhere and was leading the caravan off, and that's when you went off. So, but you could use survival skills and to get some food, and you end up walking the majority of the day, stopping for lunch, and the river seems to be fine. It doesn't seem to get any deeper or anything, but you just literally sorry, my map's on one side on me of a screen. And yeah, you just keep you just appear to keep walking and walking, and
At the next break, I'm going to just sort of beckon over Bartleby. Listen, Mr. Bartleby, just between me and you, my friend, I think I've been thinking about my directions here, and I'll crouch on the ground and I'll do what you've just done on the map there.
Yeah.
This is where Aylesford was, and we moved up here to the camp, and then we followed the refugees this way, and then we met the river which came down this way, and then if you look, we came down. Oh, I see what I've done. Oh, yeah.
Why have you trusted me with this hazard?
Bless you, Bartleby. I trust you to keep my confession in confidence.
Yeah, Hengist and Gulliver, you suddenly hear Bartleby go, "What?"
Hengist is going to turn to Gulliver and says, "Best guess is he's lost."
No, it's
You
just
should have been there ages ago.
Well, exactly.
the way the birds are flying. It's not
Yeah, blame the birds.
my heart rubbing out the. Yes, right.
We've got to change plan without them knowing. Change the route.
No, this is fine. This is fine now. This is where you say we must turn right, and that's a good idea, Mr. Bartleby.
Yes, this way.
And we will head this way now. This sounds yes.
After about 5 minutes, Hengist will turn to Gulliver.
No. There's something over in the middle we had to avoid. So yes, we go this way now.
So sorry, which way are you? You're currently heading south.
We're going northeast.
Hang on. So you're currently going south with the river on your left.
Left.
Yeah. So
we go northeast.
So you
northwest. Sorry.
northwest. So you're almost like turning from going south right the way around, and sort of like, if you're doing that, you do realise therefore you'll be going back into the jungle, into the forest, sorry.
Yes, well, the forest, does it kind of skirt around, or is it just a solid wall going along our right?
It's always been to your right all the time.
So we'd have to go through it anyway.
Yeah, well, no matter what, you would have to technically go through it. The only difference will be is that you will not travel as fast as you're going through the back through the forest. So just to give you an indication which ways you can go. So if you carry on south, you keep going on the open ground with the river to the left of you. You could turn around and go back up north, in which case the river will be to the right of you. You can almost like turn sort of like west or northwest and go back on yourself but into the forest, or you can cross the river and go almost like on an easterly direction across the plain. So you've got a lot of options.
Gulliver's just going to follow Hazra.
Right, we got there, camp, we were forest, and we're down here.
Hang on, let me. Yeah, if I draw it and then we know it's right, because I think it's a good idea to keep. I think it's a good idea to keep it the same sort of like general orientation. So the road came up here to Aylesford there. You left Aylesford and went up to like the camp here. You've then come back out here and headed this way for a day. Okay, so you're actually, I'll put the arrowheads on. So you do figure, and the river.
There's a river going down here.
Yeah.
And there's a river going down here.
Correct. Yeah.
I did mean the river colour.
And then, just so you know that, sort of like, if I draw it, if you can, you know that there was forest there, and you also know that there's been forest here.
Yeah. And there's no sign of this river that we're following at the moment coming to the right. So coming round.
Not at the moment.
Joining the two up.
Yeah, not at the moment.
Yeah.
You didn't see it joining any way when you came up from up to Thorson.
That's right, which is a solid river, wasn't it? All the way.
Yeah. So if it does join up, it could actually be further down, or it could just keep going straight and it would never join up. You're not too sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to come on honest with everybody and say, look, I'm afraid, my friends, that I may have misread the route, and we are heading away from Aylesford. No, we can follow the river, or we can cut through the forest, or perhaps maybe we can go back to the stones that Bartleby was interested in. I would leave it to you to choose. I'm quite happy to do it. I'm happy I'm out. You know,
that's another fine mess you've got us into, Hazra.
The second time you got us lost. Last time was in the swamps.
but didn't we have such good?
Didn't we have a lovely time?
I think we've
Gulliver's boots got wet.
Take the quickest way back to
Aylesford.
Which way is that?
If we go to Aylesford, we must be heading back northwest, which will go through the forest.
So yeah, so if Hazra is leading you correctly, yeah, that would be the direction back through the forest. Remember, so this is like one day here, and this is about half a day here. So you know you could do Pythagoras. Yeah. But just remember that Say again, sorry.
Is he the one that jumped out the bath?
No, that was Archimedes.
Who was it? It's Eureka.
Yeah. Just to let you know, remember that Johann was leaving Aylesford. Because he was actually saying to you guys that you should come with, and then you said no, we're off to kill the beast, and he says you're foolish, everybody's dead, and wasn't very happy with you, and because you know something horrific, and it was as if you were saying no, we can kill the beast, and you headed off to combat. But then what's happened? So if he left the same time as you left to go to the camp.
He's going to be around about here, isn't he?
No, he's going to be.
He's going to be long gone.
Yeah, because from sort of like this point to where you are now is a day, and from Aylesford to the camp and back out is probably a day as well. So he will be at least 1 day ahead of you. But remember, he can travel faster in his wagons than you walking. So
I'm guessing he's probably at least where we thought that the Shrike at least probably by now.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Could actually be back in Lindo.
It could be.
Yeah.
How'd you delete them?
I can delete them all.
Oh.
So
I was just leaving them up until we had decided where you were going.
not northwest back towards
We need to go to Aylesford.
to where we're supposed to be meeting.
Equals MC squared is Einstein, by the way. It's just,
Yeah, it's the cat sat on an orange and had hysterics, isn't it?
that's trigonometry.
Is it? Right.
Einstein's theory of relativity states that mass and energy are combined by the constants of the speed of light squared.
Wasn't Pythagoras the one who traded the formula for a donkey or a horse or something like
I'm
that?
not too sure.
Magic beans.
Magic bean, no, that Jack and the Beanstalk. So, guys, you are now where the second X is.
Yeah.
So so you're down here at the moment. Hazra's sort of like led you somewhere and then has said,
Yeah,
I
we've
think
run out of bed to
goose chase.
Yeah. Catching swans.
Hello, now I have you all alone.
in the middle of nowhere, I am leaving you. Find your own way back, pigeons.
I'm like the ninja.
So, what do you...
Well, we're going to head northwest.
We are, yeah.
As we're walking, probably with Hazra leading again, and Bartleby is sort of like with him. And if Gulliver's walking next to Hengist, he's going to wait after a while, and then he'll say to Hengist, "Well, at least we know what happened to his tribe."
Yeah, very true. They obviously went the right way. He went the wrong way, and ended up with us.
So you're heading now northwest
Through a forest.
through a forest in an attempt to sort of like get to Aylesford. Is that the plan?
So to cut through the forest and hopefully come out somewhere that the road leading up to Aylesford, or somewhere close to Aylesford.
Okay then. So you sort of like head up on roughly. Is Hazra leading?
I will be leading, and I'll be looking for game as well. While I'm
Yeah. Just roll your survival check.
There we go.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I'll just. A survival check. Yeah, so you sort of like head off back through the forest with Gulliver and Hengist and Hazra. Could you just roll for me willpower checks, please?
Did I not hear that Bartleby is involved?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, not Hazra. Not Hazra. It's Bartleby, Gulliver, and Hengist.
Oh, solid score of an 87 there, Inwells.
Okay. Yeah. So, Hengist, Gulliver, you're feeling all right at the moment. You know, everybody makes mistakes, and you're quite used to people making mistakes. However, Bartleby and Hengist, you're almost like thinking, you know, who brought the guide along? You know, and you're sort of like trudging through, and Hazra sort of saying, this way, this way, this way. And you're just sort of like thinking, good grief. Sort of like...
Says that one more time.
Yeah. And you just sort of like...
Wake up with one eyebrow or something.
And every now and again, Hazra sort of says, don't worry, we are nearly there.
Said that 2 days ago.
Yeah, and you're almost like getting... almost like really cross with him. Gulliver, you're fine because you sort of like think, you know, people make mistakes, and you weren't probably expecting much from Hazra in any case, you know. And it's about, you've been walking and trudging through this forest for about 3 or 4 hours, and you're sort of like in the middle of a forest, you know. You're covered from the sky with a canopy. You're sort of like, every now and again, Hengist, you've stood in something and you got a wet boot from something, and Bartleby, you sort of like being whacked by, you sort of like, Hengist walks, or Hazra's walking in front of you, and he sort of like pushes something back, and you're sort of like walking and go bang, as it's sort of like, and they're sort of like in the middle, and you sort of like stop for lunch, and Gulliver and Hazra, you sort of like look round, and Hazra, you're sort of like, do not worry, friends, we are soon be there. And it just looks like Hengist and Bartleby are almost like giving you looks, as in, you know,
bearing in mind what Hazra said at the campsite about killing the barbarians out of hand.
Yeah.
Hengist is getting a little bit annoyed with him.
And you sort of like stop, and you've got like measly rations left and very little water, you know. And although Hazra can get game, you know, the issue is almost like fresh water at the moment, because, you know, you don't fancy drinking tree sap at all. And Bartleby, you still got the little potion, you know, and it looks quite appealing now. And Gulliver, you've sort of like had a look, and every time you sort of like get your bit of wafer out to eat, you sort of like see the other potion bottles in there all sealed up, and you settle down for a measly lunch, and you're very hungry, and it's wet underfoot, and you just sort of like sit down, and you're quite sort of like grumpy.
I have, as one of the items that I save from my old stash when we were captured and imprisoned, I have my glass bottle filled with water from the waterfall we were at.
Yeah.
I would like to share that at this point. It was a glass bottle I got in Advent, so I'm not sure how large that would be, but it's probably better than potion water.
Yeah, you sort of like swill that down, you know, or you start to ration yourself. You know, but the only person, Gulliver seems quite sympathetic towards Hazra at the moment. Gulliver doesn't look that cross at all. Hazra, you do sense that people are not happy with this.
But it's fine. We're almost there. It's not very far. It's through the forest this way, and we won't be very long in the forest now. So be happy, be cheery.
Hey, how much further is it?
Well, it's just a little bit more further. So, you know, just it will be fine. It's a pleasant walk. It's a lovely day. It's not raining, is it? There's nothing worse than rain when you're trudging through a forest. So if you think we have travelled maybe 5 hours down the river, then we are going to be travelling maybe 3 or 4 hours through this forest, maybe 4 or 5 hours through the forest.
Could you all make perception rolls for me, please?
Whoa!
Nice. Gulliver starts it.
I literally can't beat it.
No, that's it. So
I can't see the trees.
yeah, you sort of like Hazra sort of like says, "Don't worry, it's not raining. It could be worse." And just at that moment, Gulliver and Hengist, you sort of like hear this distant roll of thunder, and as Hazra sort of like carries on talking, you suddenly hear the drip, drip, drip of rain starting to hit the canopy above, and so like Gulliver and Hengist, you just sort of like look at each other as Hazra says, "Do not worry, it could be worse. It could be raining." And you just sort of like hear there's like coming down, and then after sort of like by the
you had to say
we
it.
have water.
yeah, and you sort of like by the time you finished having your lunch, you notice that you're not in the rain, but the water's sort of like cascading off the canopy of the forest, and it's that awful every now and again you're walking along and a huge drop goes straight down the back of your neck, and you are not happy. Gulliver, even you are losing some of your positivity now as you trudge through, and you started to have you've got wet boots, you've got wet trousers, your hair's all plastered down to the side of your face, and the only person that seems to be quite perky is Hazra, as he sort of...
Yes, we play a game in the forest. We play a little game. We go, "I spy with my little eyes something beginning with T." No.
No. Nobody sort of like says anything, and you sort of said, "Hey, let's play a game," and everybody just like looks at you, and you say, "Maybe not," and then it's sort of like
then a stone sort of like gently whistles past Hazra's head from behind,
and all of it, you're walking around, and Hazra's saying, "Oh, look, there's a rare fungus on that tree," and you just sort of think, "Shut up." And you spend almost like 2 days, it must seem, trudging through this forest, and Hazra sort of like is leading you on this merry chase back to Aylesford, and it's sort of like after 2 days that you actually arrive back at the stricken village. And the first thing that you sort of like notice is not actually the town at all. What you notice as you emerge from the forest is almost like the smell. And the smell just sort of like hits you, and there's a huge amount of crows sort of like picking bits out of the dead bodies, and you smell this horrific smell, and you notice that it's been raining here as well, and a lot of the bodies have started to become almost like bloated as they sort of like absorb the water, and now a lot of the red parts that were on display, like their guts and blood, you notice that it's sort of like that grey colour, a bit like plasticine goes when you're trying to mix up all the colours, and the smell is just unbelievable. And you just sort of like, and Hazra says, "We are here," as it comes out.
Doing your tea.
And you just sort of like look around, and Aylesford is sort of like covered with dead bodies, and even as you enter, the crows are almost like set up residency here, and it's as if they are completely, as if they own it. They definitely outnumber you, and as you walk in, you see a crow pecking at a dead body somewhere, and you sort of like go, "Whoa," and it just sort of like looks at you and hops away a little bit, and then just sort of like tilts his head and look back, and once you sort of like walk past the body, it doesn't even fly away, it just sort of like hops back to it, and you arrive back at Aylesford. What would you like to do?
English, we're here. What did you want to do when we got here?
Well, we were going to check to see if Finial was here or had left her sign, and if not, wait a day or so and then start on the way back down to Lindo is what I was going to suggest.
Where were we supposed to be meeting her? Was it at a tree?
She said she'd put something in a tree nearby, a particular tree nearby.
Near the entrance, yeah.
Should we do?
So we'll head towards the entrance to the town, and look for any signs that Finiel has been in the area.
Yeah, you sort of like head back away from the town, and you almost like hear the crows cackling, as if it's in triumph that they've actually encouraged you to leave it. And as you head away from the village, there is a tree that looks dead. It looks like it was once hit by lightning or something like that, and you can see that it's been dead for quite a while. And you figure that this is probably where Finiel might have left something for you if she's been here at all. And are you heading over to the tree? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you sort of like head over to the tree, and you sort of like make an inspection of it, and you do notice that there's what appears to be a piece of rolled up parchment. It's quite small. It's only about this in height, but it looks like it's wrapped up several times, and you notice that it's some kind of vellum, and it almost like looks as if it's been sealed as well with candle wax or something similar. And you can see that it looks like one of Finiel's rings that has been sealed it, and it's sort of like tucked down in away from the water, the rain, etc. And yeah, you can take it out.
Gulliver's going to reach in and grab it and unroll it and see whether or not he can read out what is written on it.
Yeah, so you unroll it, and what you find it's like a long piece of paper. So rather than being long, sort of like in height, it almost like unrolls as if it's a huge amount of signs. It doesn't look like there's the odd word here and there, but it looks almost like symbol based. Can you, both of you, because Bartleby, you can read the words as well. Can you just both roll or augment each other, and let me see what you actually get.
Latte Mott rated my stream with 35 viewers.
Well, my literacy is 51, so that's mine.
Mine's a 39, so I suppose we would be working together, I presume, since we're all here as a group. So I'd probably augment, even though you don't need it in this case. That'd be fair to say, almost.
Oh yeah, no, he. So I have to speed rated, so I'm just watching the thing. Yeah, you sort of like unroll it, and 14% is actually absolutely fine. You can read out what it actually says, and the first thing that you notice is that there's 4 very specific words. There's something that says what appears to say He-Maz. I've just typed it in the chat. And then there's a word that says Tepius. And I've put that in there. And then there's something that is very strange. It says my key, but it's all one word. Can you see that? I don't want you to think that there's a space in there. There's not. It's definitely together. And then there's another word that says Volin. Oh, I've just typed it in my Twitch chat. It says Volin in it. Okay, and that's what you get. Those are the words. Now, you don't recognize any of those words, Gulliver. You haven't seen them before, but they all seem to have capital letters. So
Gulliver's going to look to Bartleby and say, are they names of towns in Odes, Bartleby?
Would I be able to roll locale to know whether that's
Yes,
true?
but by all means, roll your locale. Yeah, you've never heard of these town names at all, and you think if there were towns, you would know about them quite definitely. So you don't think they're towns at all.
I think they must be her friends or associates. We have Hemaz, Tepius, Mikey, Volan. For contacts, for trusted people that we can.
But how does that help us?
There's also some images on the paper as well, and I can tell you the what the images look like. The first image seems. Yeah, I got a donation. Oh, my lovely shattering chord. Thank you very much, Latte, for your donation. Much appreciated. So the first thing that you see appears to be a chalice. It's definitely a chalice shape, and it looks like a chalice, but it's been really badly drawn. It could be an upside down spade, but you think it's probably a chalice. The next one along seems to be like a teardrop of something. Does that make sense? It sort of like goes. I'll draw it on the screen so you can see it. It almost.
Could it be a symbol for water?
It looks like that.
Gotcha.
And then the next thing seems to be almost like an oval shape that seems to have curls like that, and then has a circle on top like that. It is all upright. Okay, I just drew. It's not on the side or anything like that. Then there appears to be what's very clearly as a spider. And it just sort of like has two body parts, then 8 legs. It's sort of like sat like that. And then the next thing that you see is that you see almost like it looks a bit like a gravestone, and then that's it. And there's nothing else on the piece of paper. So there's literally a chalice, followed by a teardrop, followed by the oval with squiggly lines and a circle around the top. Then a spider, and then this sort of like what appears to be a tombstone. And right at the end, just as you unfold the last piece of paper, there's a T, a slash, and an L. At the end.
A T, a slash, and an L.
Yeah.
Is it a
Sorry. An F. It's an F. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good old F and L.
And where are the names? Sorry, where are the...
Oh, yeah, sorry, good question. The 4 names come before the chalice. So as you unfold the piece of paper, the 4 names came first, then the chalice, then the drop, then the oval with squiggly lines, then the spider, then the tombstone, and then F/L.
I think these symbols might have something to do with the book we found and we're reading about the Chaos Mother. Because in that book, it said that to do the ritual or whatnot, they needed the Chaos Mother's chalice, the Chaos Father's blood, and the Life of Pure Beauty. And I think this oval with the curls and the halo might be that pure beauty. The spider.
That could have been the one that was summoned in the forest, or didn't you mention that the Chaos Mother was or took form of a spider? when you read
Yeah,
the book?
she. If you remember, thinking back, she lived in. They supplanted the Chaos Mother's rule. The Chaos Mother was defeated, and although she could not be killed, they made a spirit maze as a prison, and they imprisoned her in almost like a spirit maze. And it never sort of like spoke about it. Talked about a spirit maze, and that was it. But you do remember seeing that spider when you were with the shaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hengist can't remember, and he's probably getting the two confused. But that's what he thinks. He thinks that spider was a reincarnation of the Chaos Mother.
Yeah.
That's he's thinking is Chaos Mother.
It would have been a lot easier if she just put "Gone North" or something.
That would have been easier, Gully.
Hengist, you recognise this, that when you've been on warfare, and tracking and things like this, then it was quite often the case that you wouldn't write down specific messages because of the actual, just in case the enemy got hold of it.
It would be encoded somehow.
Yeah.
But usually you would know the other half of the code to understand what it was about.
So you assume that Finiel, if this is from Finiel Laram, that they assume that you know what the symbol means and the names mean. Maybe they just overestimated your intellectual prowess. Don't know.
Could the friends?
Hazard goes, "This way, my friends!"
The letters at the end, you said they say "f" and "l."
I don't think. Do you have any literacies? No. Okay then. So
I'm going by sounding of words.
Yeah, you just notice them as two squiggly lines or three. That's pretty.
Well,
No.
I say it out loud, so I'm hoping they go. Oh, F and L. Could there be
That's
flatlands?
No, that's Finian Le Man.
Oh, Lauren, yes.
Laram.
Laram. Yes. I understand. Yeah. You people of knowledge, you know these things. You tell me what you find.
Would any of those names that you mentioned that you didn't think were towns, would they be mentioned in your book, Bartleby?
It's possible. I think that I'm gonna pull out the book from my backpack and hand it off to Gulliver. I think if Gulliver can search for that kind of information for a bit, I'll see if Amriel has any suggestions to guide us on our path.
Yeah. So, what information are you searching for, Gulliver? First, let's get the nitty gritty out before we start.
Which book have I got?
The one that Bartleby took from the church about the Chaos Mother, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, the only thing that Gulliver can go on is what we think are probably names that are written on the parchment that Finiel's left in the tree.
Okay, yeah. So do you want to cross-match those names to the piece of paper on the...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, the piece of paper onto... Yeah, so yeah, you can go for that. And Bartleby, what are you wanting to do?
I would like to pray to Amriel to show me the path that I'm supposed to be taking.
Yeah, okay then. Roll...
Would that be a devotion?
Yeah, roll your devotion.
Amriel.
Yeah, you sort of like settle down into prayer and try to commune with your goddess. And Gulliver, you sort of like glance through. You notice that within the book that you're just sort of like quickly turning the pages, scanning up and down, and you see no mention of those names at all. not one little bit at all. And as you sort of like commune with your goddess, Bartleby, you do almost like hear a whisper in your ear, and it's almost as if somebody is really close and really next to you and whisper in your ear, and you just hear sort of like a quiet melodic voice, almost like a soft whisper come to you, and the word says, "The way lies before you." And nothing else materializes at all.
The way lies before you.
Yeah, you hear Bartleby's whisper say, "The way lies before you."
I'm gonna look around carefully at my environment. If I may, I'd like to roll perception, just to really look at what stands out, what way is, I guess.
Yeah, well, you could roll your perception by all means.
Excellent. And if I fail, I already have an idea of where the path is.
Yep, you definitely fail.
I believe we need to go back to the stones. Those majestic stones.
Well, because that's the last symbol.
Oh, I thought that was a gravestone. But perhaps they are the stones. It was a path that Amriel had left out for us. We did not heed that symbol to us.
But
We went the wrong way and we got lost.
we didn't know we had to heed that symbol until now.
Very true.
But,
Sometimes that's how the visions work with Amriel.
Maybe we got lost because Amriel was trying to tell us to go back to the stones.
It wasn't. Well, maybe Amriel guided us back here, Hazra, and you would just be led by Amriel. I think you could make a disciple out of Hazra.
She's already at my heart. She's a beautiful woman. Yes.
Has somebody got those those symbols down? Yeah, so I can remove them off the picture.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Fine, our group scribes have got them. It's sorted.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so you seem to have this message that wasn't there before. It's obviously arrived here from since you left the village to run after the chaos beast, and
because Angus checked the tree.
correct, yeah.
We...
So you
Saw that in.
At the end of the last one, when the bard came in, then and Johan left, and you sort of like said, "No, we are off to kill the chaos beast," and off you went. And then you went there, and then you did rescue some of the villagers, but you're not too sure where they went. You then went on the scenic route round and come back on yourself up to Aylesford. So, I mean, you've literally been away for like 3-4 days. You know, it definitely wasn't here when you left to pursue the chaos beast.
So we're probably running low on supplies then, because I think...
yeah,
Johan only gave us enough food for 7.
correct.
It's Longshanks' mic that you can hear vibrating.
Is it?
It's not Longshanks' mic, it's Longshanks doing this. Sorry, I was thinking.
So, just to give you a quick recap, you have several options. You're in the sort of like the decaying village of Aylesford at the moment. There's crows all around. There's the stench of death and disease and maggots crawling out of the nostrils of these people that were just left here when you left. You can stay here. You can start traveling south again, which is back where you came with the caravan, or you can head back out and go back along to the river, the second river that Hazra took you to, and back to the Standing Stones, or you can go north to the mountains, or you could go back south east from here and go back to where you finished before you turned back north. You know, that southernmost point that you came to.
I think we will not stay here tonight because we will be diseased ourselves before long.
You also remember there was various haunted spirits here that the last night you stayed.
That's right, with the dead rising because of when they died, they frightened. And I think we should humour Miss Bartleby and perhaps head to the Standing Stones. And it would be nice to see them myself because they look very, very well built and very structured. So yes, let's head back to the Standing Stones, I think.
Okay, is that what you're doing, guys? You're going back towards the Standing Stones then, or something else?
I'm hesitant to go back there, but that does seem like a path that made itself available to us.
Yeah, we're going to head back towards the Standing.
Okay then. So we'll full
circle.
Hazra, can you just make a survival roll for me, please?
Sorry.
You could take minutes, so it can be easy. Yeah. Okay then. So Hazra sort of like goes round, and you manage to go round Aylesford, and there are some supplies in the general store, if you remember. Gulliver, you went in there, and there was some of the things was trashed, but there was some other sort of like containers and barrels, etc. And there's probably something in the inn as well. And you can probably fill up water bottles from rainwater from the forest, etc. And and you could do it by the river, although there might be a few dead bodies up a little bit upstream, so you sort of like, and you don't use the well because you have no idea what's actually down there. I think you looked, Gulliver, but that was it. So you bring together a whole load of rations, so you can actually make the journey, and fresh water, and that's without using the potions that Gulliver and Bartleby have. And you sort of like, Hazra leads you, rather than going up to the camp and back down, he sort of like confidently sort of like leads you straight across the forest. Can you just make a tracking roll, Hazra, for me? Yeah, and you're really sure this time, and even people like Bartleby and Hengist, who were a little bit doubting beforehand, actually see you going quite quickly, and they suddenly reinstate their confidence in you. And Hazra, you're feeling quite pleased, and you're not too sure, but you do maybe hear somebody says, "Oh, he's doing a lot better this time," or "This is a nice soft route," and nobody's getting whacked with twigs or anything like that. And you carry on your way through the forest, making camps if and when. And you do notice that the forest is still eerily silent at night, as if there's no sort of like small animals or mammals or birds or anything like that. It's almost as if the forest is dead, and the only things that are living there are the trees. And you emerge from the other side of the forest after a couple of days, and then you wade across the river and head out to the standing stones that you saw before, and that narration was just so I could create it. So you I think it's here we go. I'll just put your characters on. I think that's pretty good for standing stones.
Do you know what? My hometown has 3 standing stones in it.
Yeah, so there seems to be a big stone and a little stone next to it, just as you can see in the picture. And you sort of like approach it, and you can see from your size compared to them they're quite huge. You sort of like approach them from the sort of like the western way, and they seems to be quite tall. They seem to be quite weathered. They don't look like they're new. It looks like they've been here quite an amount of time before, and despite them being quite weathered, on each of the stone faces that are quite flat, there appears to be symbols graved onto the standing stone, and you suddenly realize that what you are actually seeing on here are the three symbols that you saw on the message that Finiel and Laram sort of like left you. There seems to be a chalice on one of them. There seems to be this oval with two squiggly lines and a halo on it on the other, and then on the final one there appears to be some kind of teardrop. And as you sort of like get closer and closer and start to sort of like look around, and these literally almost like tower above you, and the symbols are absolutely massive. You're sort of like, you are actually almost like looking up at them as they sort of like tower over the top of you. And as you look around and moving around, you suddenly feel that the ground underneath you seems to be quite almost like sodden, and you sort of like think, oh, not again. It's been raining, and you sort of like look down at the floor, and you suddenly notice that when you put your foot down into the soil, it's like it presses a bit and almost like water comes up around it. But what you notice is that it's not water at all. What seems to be sodden into the whole area appears to be almost like a ring of sodden blood. And I'll just to give you an idea, it's sort of like that around, and it just seems to be a huge amount of blood. You Bartleby and Gulliver, you've done survival and medicine or first aid or something like that, and you figured there must be the content of several people, maybe even 20 to 30 people's blood here. Whatever it is, it's a terrific amount, and you're quite surprised that it's still sort of like still here.
Is it a ring or is it a circle?
It's
Is it just the outline?
No, sorry. Yeah, it's
all
everything. Yeah,
in?
yeah. It's all the way around there.
And there's only 3 symbols on the stones.
Yeah, there's only 3 standing stones, and each one of them has a corresponding symbol. So there's it's not drawn on with blood or anything. It's actually chiseled into the stone. And there's the chalice, the teardrop, and the oval with the halo on the 2 squiggly lines down either side. Exactly what was on Finiel and Laram's pictograph of it. And I think that would probably be a good place to leave it for this week, so you can try to figure out what's actually happening in this place, ready for next week. So yeah, so well done, guys. You did really well in the first battle, and then you
petered off a little bit.
you went on a really nice escapade, and then you came back to this in a roundabout way, but you've arrived here now. So the question will be, what on earth is going on here?
My view is, if we hadn't gone back to Aylesford, we wouldn't have known what the chalice, the teardrop, and the thing were on the stones in the first place.
Amriel provides a way.
That's right. So we had to go back to Aylesford.
Or
So,
you were,
Amriel,
or you were never meant to leave Aylesford. But anyway, it's all's well in love and war. So well done. I was impressed with your rolls on the combat. You know, what's going on there, what the spider was, what you found in the tents, etc., etc. And obviously that had come into light and more. And you're still trying to find the golden talk, and perhaps more importantly, a way back home, which would be really nice. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed tonight's adventure, and I hope people watching the stream enjoyed it as well. Thank you for the raid and the donation and the follow, etc. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yes, Hengley, I think your name was. I'll put something together that shows you how I make my my layout here, so you've got that, and I'll post it on my YouTube channel, which is just InWorlds. You can find me across the social media just by searching InWorlds. So anybody would like to give any announcements or say anything at all?
No, nothing from me.
I have a game on Tuesday on Wrath Inspired's channel. It's jumping between Tuesdays and Thursdays, but this week it's Tuesday. If you want to see him beat up some alligators and kill an old lady in one punch, you can go to the prior episode. It was pretty good. She kicked his gun out of his hand. It was a whole thing, grappling and whatnot. But anyways, Tuesday, Wrath Inspired's channel at 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's kind of fun when we get together. That's my announcement.
Is that Starfinder still?
Traveler. Yes, I love Traveler.
Cool. So I gave a shout out for that in the stream. Anyone else?
Nope.
No. Okay, so next week could be, what's the date next week?
27th.
27th, and Halloween's on the Wednesday, isn't it?
Ooh, really?
Is that right? Yeah.
Spooky, yes.
Okay, yeah. So we will be back next Saturday for some more adventures. So do come along and join us. If you have enjoyed tonight, then don't forget to press the follow button so you can see when we're streaming again. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock BST time when I will be playing some more Elder Scrolls Online. So please come along and enjoy watching me play that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Until then, I would just like to say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, and I will catch you all later. Until then, happy gaming. See ya. Bye.
Bye.